You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Clark from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
You know, the third quarter we lost by 3 points. I mean, that's not the end of the world. But the fourth, you lose 36-20. We had a lot of breakdowns defensively. Towns obviously got going. We had a missed free throw block out that cost us a possession and a reset for them, and then another basket. And before you know it, the thing was a one possession game with 9 minutes and change left. And at that point, it's just back and forth, and it's anybody's game. We've just got to do everything better. I mean, we didn't have enough presence and force in the game. They picked up their levels, and all that stuff, and we just simply did not. We had some great runs. Our crowd was phenomenal in the game, but we've got to sustain. No update other than what I told you guys yesterday. He's listed as questionable. He will likely be a game time decision. He was quite sore yesterday, so we'll just have to see.
That's Rick Carlisle from the morning show, and we're live at Coach's Tavern. I'm going to go ahead and set the scene for you in just a second, but have no fear. I am here later on tonight, back after a Game 3 hiatus, to restore order inside the field house. And here's why this is incredibly important, because the winner of tonight's game, when I say must win all the time, and a lot of you start giggling and going, it's not a must win, and you start doing math because you're a math dork or algebra or geometry or something, and I say, listen, it's not about that. It's about having a feel for hoops, and it's a feel for how series are won or games are won. Or, I don't know, as a Colts fan, how divisions are won, and not counting on the numbers to match when it's all said and done. This is a must-win coming up later on tonight. There is zero doubt. The winner of this game wins this series. That's it. The cut and the dry of it. There's zero way you go 2-0 in Madison Square Garden and then come back here and go 0-2 in your own building. That cannot happen, and I feel comfortable because I am here to restore order. Again, missed Game 3, but I'll be in the building tonight for game number 4. And a lot of what Rick Carlisle just had to say, believe me, he's a future Hall of Famer without a doubt as a head coach. But I can simplify it for you. I'll simplify it for you in these terms. I thought the crowd kind of stunk on Sunday. I thought maybe you're a little bit worn out, maybe a little bit hung over. So I expect a little bit more from you. But I expect a hell of a lot more from this team in the second half, that especially after the third quarter, let the Knicks dictate the terms, the tempo, all of it. And that's how this Pacer team loses, not just in the Eastern Conference Finals, but in December against an incredibly crappy Charlotte team. That's how they lose, when other teams dictate the tempo on them. Meaning, when they decide you're going to play in the half court, when they decide on both ends you're going to play in the half court, when they slow you down and have you going late clock situations, you're out of your element. You're out of your comfort zone. That can't happen. That's exactly what happened for the most part in the fourth quarter on Sunday night. That can't. It cannot take place tonight. That's where you start. I'll simplify it for you right there. Dictating the terms yourself, because that's how you win. That's what we know this team to be. I mean, the Knicks can go with a couple of different angles, but certainly in the half court and head bobbing and foul baiting, if you're Jalen Brunson, who is very good, those are just two aspects I don't like at what he does. On the other hand, you get Karl Anthony Towns, when he gets on a heater, maybe send somebody else at him. Maybe not let him go off the dribble. But let me tell you, these guys are good offensive players. But this Pacer team should be able to withstand that as a team with their tempo. And that's where we start. We're here today with Mick Ultra 02, the proud sponsor of the Eastern Conference Finals. Coach's Tavern, we're downtown. There's always really some good mojo that's created right here before we head over and watch any Pacer game, and especially in the postseason. So I'm feeling that right now. Dev, go ahead and get my man's mic up here. Tommy S., it seems like when we're together, the owner of Coach's Tavern, things with the Pacers always go right. So here we are again.
We're undefeated when we go together.
Unbeaten,
I
brothers.
I had tickets tonight. I'd take you.
I'm going.
Oh,
Don't worry, I'm going.
you.
I am going tonight. So, yes. Listen, I sat at home for Game 3, and I felt bad. I thought I helped cost them that game by sitting my ass at home. Didn't have the shoes there. Didn't have the hair there. Didn't have it all there. So I'm taking it back. I'm restoring order later on tonight.
You know the Pacers are 0-4 all the time when they play on race day in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say they're like at 0-1,000,000 when they let other teams decide how they're going to play.
100%.
And that's exactly what they did on Sunday.
The good news is the Pacers haven't lost 2 in a row in 2 months.
Yeah. Well,
and Nelly Burton was hurt for that.
The other thing, too, I brought this up yesterday. Martin Monteith had this tremendous stat a couple of weeks ago. This was during the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Cavaliers, after that Game 3 debacle and the blowout loss on a Friday night to the Cavaliers. And he brought up, and I thought this was a great stat, and I always give him credit for it, that the Pacers were at that time 8-0 after they're basically undressed in the game prior, or they lose big in the game prior. And you're going to say, well, wait a minute. They didn't lose big. They only lost by 6 points. That's not a big deal. But when you look at the numbers, when you look at the fourth quarter stats, when you look at 36 for the Knicks and 20 for the Pacers, friends, that's getting your doors blown off late in the game right there. So, yes, this is what I would expect to match because, Tommy, yes, you bring it up right. And what we know this Pacer team to be is bounce-back worthy. The only thing out of all this that I absolutely hate is the fact that had you been able to continue what you started in that game on Sunday, and had you been able to close out that game, then not only would you be going to end it later on tonight, which you're not, okay, whatever, but you would also have all these like BO-ridden blue and orange jersey-wearing fans not in your building later, what you're going to have later on tonight. You're going to, because I'm sorry, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to say, hey, I can get this big figure for my tickets. This is what I'm going to do. That, to me, is what really is going to suck about it. And I walked down here, forgot my wallet, had to run back, had to sprint back, and I passed a bunch of those and accurately described what I just said. 100%. A lot of them are around here, and they don't come back. They don't come back if you're down 0-3. That's a bummer, but that's now past the board. You got to take care of what you can take care of. That is tonight, Tommy, yes.
That's right. Take care of business at home. Don't go back 2-2. You don't want to. I think the winner tonight takes the series. I think the winner tonight.
No, that's what I said. Yeah, the winner tonight wins. This is it. This is why this is must win. This is just not me jerking around with must-win phrases and all that. This is a must-win for the Pacers because the winner of this will go on and win the series 100%. What do you got going for us here? You're going to keep the steady stream of beer going, too? Because that's the other thing, too. I got to bridge the gap between now and later on tonight. I'm going to be primed and ready to go.
Yeah, we had to put an emergency order in yesterday. We got wiped out on beer this week.
Did you? Well, why wouldn't you?
Race
because there was a hell of a lot going
Fever
on.
Fans.
Did you have a lot of people in here? Now, I want to say listening to it on the radio, but I realize you have televisions everywhere. Did you have a lot of people in here watching the 500, too?
We did have a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then got a big crowd, obviously, for the game. And after the game, this was an absolute nut house. In here, nobody worked yesterday. It's Memorial Day, right?
Right on. So, well, I mean, I would have thought after, and this is something else I'm going to call out too. My good friend Ant Paris pointed this out. And listen, you had nothing to do with the play on the floor. You had nothing to do with a lack of offensive pace. It had nothing to do with Karl Anthony Towns going for 20 in the fourth quarter. It had nothing to do with what Rick Carlisle documented, and accurately so, that happened late in that game that equated to that Game 3 loss. I know as fans you had nothing to do with that. He did mention that he thought the fans were phenomenal. They were far, far, far from phenomenal. Now, part of me, because I was going through what you guys were going through, I can't get on you because I dragged my ass home too and go, man, you know what? I'm worn out here because it was a long weekend and certainly a long day. But I would expect a hell of a lot more enthusiasm. Granted, I know that the Pacers late in that game, they were not creating a lot of enthusiasm for you too. Late clock selection, just bad looks. Just not the Pacer basketball that you've come to witness and enjoy. I do realize that. But I would expect a more highly enthusiastic crowd coming up later on tonight because let's just face it, that crap that we witnessed on Sunday is not going to cut it. That's why I felt compelled I have to go tonight now. I've got to go. Like Tyrese Halliburton orchestrates offense. I'm just going to orchestrate there from that. Hey,
orchestrate
all
the
right,
mojo
here's
in the
what we
crowd.
got to do. You know, and the other thing is, too, Tommy S., I'm even going to rock that awful Yes Sir's Nation shirt, which is just terrible, but I'm going to rock it tonight. I'm going to rock it because I feel as if I've got to bring some uplifting measures to a group that I didn't think really had it late in that game for whatever reason.
No, they didn't. They were
Sunday.
sloppy, turnovers, careless.
No, I was talking about the fans, but they were too. Sloppy,
I think
turnovers, sloppy, careless. I think that was the fans as well. So we're going to reverse that role.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Pacer playoff home games during the 500.
You're not?
Because the 500 is the event that day. It has all.
But you can't pace yourself a little bit and get there.
I don't know. That's hard to do.
I mean, you can. So. I can't really say anything because, again, I went home. So who am I to criticize? But I'm here. I'm here tonight to make sure everybody gets their asses back in gear.
I think everybody recharged yesterday, and they'll be pumped tonight.
Recharging today.
And the Pacers will feed off that.
All right, Tommy S., Coach's Tavern. We're ready to rock today, aren't we? Where do we start here? You're open and ready to go, right?
We're ready to go. We expect the crowd to show up about 4:45, 5 o'clock. Should have Zinc Distributing here shortly, handing out free samples of the
Did you know that our good friend Kevin from Zinc showed up in the Coke lot?
I
JMV
saw the pictures
over on Saturday.
No, I showed up right in front of you, and you and Tony Katz, and I stood there and just looked at you.
Really?
You must have been 2 sheets to the wind.
I was in a bit in the fog.
Okay.
Hear my voice?
Yeah,
my voice.
It didn't sound like
it was like for that morning, the late Marge shot. Entered my larynx.
Honey.
That sounds really weird to say. But no, it was, hey, wait. I mean, it was bad.
You got a cigarette, honey.
It was for a hell of a cause. It was. All right, Tommy S., we're open and ready for business
ready
right
to
here,
rock,
right?
Pace. Let's go, Pacer
With our
fans.
friends from Zinc. Yeah, we got that for you, too. And I know the news from yesterday, it's weird. Normally I would have a pretty good recap. But I came in yesterday and did 3 hours, so we talked about all that, Marcus Erickson and Kyle Kirkwood. It's funny. So I was in their office pool, and I went upstairs today, and I said, man, I wonder I didn't even know who I got. And I had Kyle Kirkwood, who was one of those that got pinched. It's funny, Jeff Rickard came down, and I was preparing for the show, i.e. taking a nap, in the production studio, and he came in and he goes, hey, do you think that had Marcus Erickson won that race if he would have passed inspection? Where they let him slide through. There's zero way anybody can slide through any longer. And in fact, that is the reason why I bet these guys got pinched. Because had last week not transpired, not taken place, I bet these guys don't get pinched. Now you have to. That is on the front burner, right? Remember, and I went back and dispelled the myth. Go back to Carb Day with me for a moment. All of you that joined us out there, we had an absolute blast. Well, my friend Brian Calvert came out with Dixie the Praying Dog, and he brought the Snake Pit juice. And the Snake Pit juice is one of those big office water bottles full of whatever, right? And I don't care. I've done this in the past. I've set the pace on this and decided to go ahead and drink it. And I had not done it since COVID because everybody frowned upon it. But I thought, you know what? I think we're far enough away right now that we can go ahead and bring it back. So we brought back the Snake Pit juice on Carb Day, and that's where I'm ready to bring everything back right now. And that's why later on tonight, the enthusiasm will be back in that building. The only thing I need to do, Tommy S., is he still in town? I don't know who he is. Somebody can help me out here. Who's this Timothy Chalamet dude, the actor? Who is this guy? Because he was here in Game 3 on Sunday, right? I want to play this clown in one-on-one down here in Bicentennial Plaza. I want to whip his ass.
There was a Knicks fan on the Pat McAfee show. Pat was broadcasting from right over here.
Right.
I don't know if that was him or not, but
who was? I don't know. Have I ever seen a Timothée Chalamet film?
I've never even heard of him.
How do you spell it? Is it Shalllomay? That's how it's spelled in Southern Indiana. What's he in? Is he in one of those cartoons, the comic book crap? Oh, he played Bob Dylan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Bob Dylan. That's Timothy. I didn't know that was Timothée Chalamet.
Oh, good for him.
Can he play hoop? Do we know, or does he just watch it? Is that it? Does he just watch or he play? Because I thought if he's going to be around, I would send out some feelers here, maybe a bit of a challenge, because we can go down to Bicentennial. I'm ready to rock right now. Yeah, I've got the Nike Dunks on, right? So I'm ready to rock with Michelob Ultra on. So if you can reach out to Timothée Chalamet, he's probably staying in a Super 8 on the south side somewhere. So go get him. Go get him and tell him that I'm ready for a little one-on-one before we tip him. And I think that's kind of like a preliminary to the game later on tonight. Timothée Chalamet. Bob Dylan. I'm sorry, man. I haven't seen a movie since 1989. So, I don't know what may go on there. Timothée Chalamet was in the house in game number 3. I'm assuming that Timothée Chalamet will be in the house again coming up later on tonight with a lot more Knicks fans. There's no doubt about that. Of course, coverage begins later on tonight right here on The Fan at 7:30. We do have a loaded show for you today as we normally do. I know Greg Raikstraw is going to join us, and I gave shout-outs to everybody yesterday. If you listened, and I know that you did, to all of our content for the month of May, Greg Raikstraw was front and center, and there is nobody better to handle all of it than Greg. Such a spectacular job, really on all levels with Greg and our group from Urban One. I saw Ken Myers, the engineer, a little bit earlier today, and I've told Dev this as well. Just an outstanding effort by everybody. And I mentioned this yesterday on Memorial Day when I was in, but I did want to mention it when maybe everybody is back to work and a little normalcy does reconvene. I could not be more proud to work with a group of folks every single year at something that large. And believe me, there was so much going on with everybody in our building. So much happening when we're talking about on-air talent, engineering, promotions, the sales staff, the decision makers. And every year I say it, I can't be more proud to work with a group of people. And believe me, especially without alcohol, I can be hard to please, Tommy S. I'll be a little bit hard to please. Now, if you give me alcohol, I'll go, yeah, whatever. But no, I can be hard to please. And it was outstanding. I get my one day only to do 2 things, and that is work with Tony Katz, which I absolutely enjoy, and I get to throw to Matt Bear traffic, which I never get to do. Matt Bear is absolutely state-of-the-art. And I wanted to mention that today because, yesterday when I did, I'm assuming a lot of you are probably enjoying yourself on Memorial Day, but it was an outstanding effort all the way around, and it was an endless effort. You had people say, hey, JMV, are you okay? You worked so much. Well, while I did work much, the only thing I'm doing is talking up songs and drinking. So it's not... And I was doing that when I slid out of the birth canal. I was already doing that. So that was no problem. Talking up music, talking about sports and doing some drinking. So that was nothing for me. But it is hardcore for everybody else who is just absolutely on the grind. And I want to give a shout out to all my friends at Urban One and this building, all of my colleagues for just an incredible weekend above and beyond for setting the bar high once again with the content, entertainment, informative, educational, all of it. It was absolutely outstanding. And, it starts with Andrea and Michelle and David and Matt Hibbelin and Todd Meyer. I could not, and Jeff, who does double duty in the morning with the guys and then as well as the PD. Job well done, everybody. Thank you very much. I was really proud to be a part of that, and I cannot wait until next year. It's weird because we go through all of that. Tommy S., the one thing that you mentioned, you don't like it when you have the Pacers in the postseason and the race on the same day. But I think what it also does is it goes by even quicker, man.
It does.
goes
And
by
then
in
the
a
crowd,
snap.
the city's electric when that happens, but I just kind of feel like that 500 overshadows the Pacers, and it's hard to bring the energy. Some of these guys get out of the track at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Well, you got to just learn to pace yourself a little bit.
It's hard to do because you're just surrounded by alcohol and fun. And
dig deep, right?
You go over the snake pit, you're not going to pace yourself.
I mean, look, I got to dig. I dig deep right there. I dig deep, and I find a little bit of something. So you got to absolutely do that. All right, a couple of thoughts of the game, Tommy. Yes, we'll get everybody involved here because I got a busy show. What else you got, buddy? Give me some angles on tonight's game besides what we talked about.
Well, Neesmith's going to be a big-time factor.
When he went out with that rolled ankle, things did change, my brother. You're absolutely right.
Hopefully he is healthy. If he's healthy, I think we got it. If not, we're going to need our boy Benedict to step up off the bench and prove to why you should be a starter. So
I am glad you brought that up because people asked me yesterday, what with Benedict Mathurin? What's going on with him? And I put it, I think, as accurately and succinctly as I could. Right now, Mathurin is playing with his head up his rear end. And that's it. And here was one moment, and this is why I so thoroughly enjoy this team. And I mentioned this yesterday. There was one moment, and the one good moment he really had, because he didn't play a lot, didn't get a lot of clock in game number 2, didn't get a lot of clock in game number 3. And he has not been the same since the technical and the ejection in Cleveland. There is no doubt about that. But the one moment he had a look-ahead pass to Siakam on the break for a layup. And Siakam looked back, and you could tell, and this is leadership, you could tell that he was giving even more props to Mathurin because he knew that he needed it. You know, talking about how great of a pass that was, nice recognition, look ahead. Now, these are my words and not his. He probably cussed. But that was leadership. And I thought at that moment, Tommy S., I thought that's when all this head up the rear end for Mathurin stuff ends, and now he's going to take off. But unfortunately, it continued. So this is an opportunity because his team will really need him, for him to step up, for him to shake loose. And I think right now it's up to him. I mean, I mentioned Siakam trying to lift him up. Others try to lift him up. This is a hell of a staff to do that as well, to point you in the right direction, to give you those positives while also being constructively critical. But this is the moment right now to where I think you just got to look in the mirror and say, all right, all this other stuff be damned, I'm going to go out there and play. I'm going to go out there and be a part of a team. I'm not going to go out there and be a singular version of this. I'm going to change it today. And this team needs him coming up later on tonight.
They sure do, because this is a must-win for both teams.
Must win, because the winner of this, to me, is going to win this series. Game number 4 later on tonight. That tip time is at 8 o'clock. 7:30 coverage begins right here on The Fan. We will walk you up to that at Coach's Tavern. My good man, Tommy S., we're unbeaten when we're together on a Pacers game day in the postseason. I am just telling you. So we're at Coach's Tavern. We're downtown. Cannot wait to see you. Go ahead and join us. I got a busy show for you. I mentioned Raikstraw coming up here at the bottom of the hour. I think Eddie Gill. Hey, James, is Eddie Gill going to slide by here? Was that for sure, or if he had time? Do we know?
I believe he said, let me pull up the text message here. He said he'll try to get there by 5:30/45 time frame.
I'll try. Now, I will say this. Friends of mine, James, when they say I'll try, that normally means it's a 25% chance that they show. But with Eddie Gill, I believe he's different. When he says, I'll try, I'm going to try my damnedest to be here. I want to get Eddie Gill of Pacers Radio, Pacers TV, Pacers Radio as well, the former NBA guard, to join us here coming up as well. And Tony East. Tony East can crunch some numbers. I always leave this up to Tony. Tony's really good with numbers. We're going to go with the only number that mattered, 42. You're going to say, why 42, JMV? Because that's what the Pacers did offensively in the second half in total. And if you go back to game number 1, for example, 38 in the fourth. 38 in the fourth alone. 42 is far from a magic number offensively for this team in any half. I mean, really, you got it. I want them to be, lower mid-30s every quarter. I know that's a lot to ask, but 42 and a half, they're not going to beat us. Let me tell you that doing that. So we'll talk about that with Tony East coming up as well. Coach's Tavern, we're downtown. The Eastern Conference Finals brought to you by Mick Ultra Zero. And our friends at Zinc are going to be here as well, and I hope to see you as too. As far as our breakdown prior to game number 4. And, the challenge stands for Bob Dylan, dude. Timothy Chalamet. If you're in town, a little one-on-one before the game, I'm ready to whip me a little actor ass up here. So you just let me know.
There goes the sign guy, Jeff Asen, riding by right there.
There he is, right
Mr. Sign Guy. He can beat the
sign guy. I know I could beat him. But no, Chalamet, if Chalamet's around, head down to the Super 8 down there off of I-65 on the south side. See if you can wrangle Chalamet out of bed. And we'll get him down here. We'll do a little one-on-one before this game, a little precursor, if you will. Quick break. We'll come back. Coach is downtown. Thank you for joining us. Busy show. We would love to see you here. It is a Tuesday afternoon in front of game number 4, the Eastern Conference Finals. The stream, the app, it's HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Do not go anywhere. Raikstraw is on the other side. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Let me have a Diablo sandwich, a Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back, James. Let's turn this up for me. Eric B. Rakim brings us back. Coach's Tavern downtown, Game 4. Knicks Pacers. 2-1 Pacers still have that advantage, but the winner of tonight's game is going to win this series. So I will give you a JMV guarantee. This is a must-win right here. 7:30 coverage begins later on tonight on The Fan. Eddie Gill. My friend Greg is questioning when he says, I'll try, that maybe 100% of the time when somebody says, I'll try, they don't show. But I have trust. I have faith in Eddie Gill, former NBA guard, for joining us here. Tony East a little bit later on as well. Coach's Tavern, I'm going to look for you, and we're brought to you by Michelob Ultra Zero, that brings you the Eastern Conference Finals. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, let's bring him on. Greg Raikstraw, who was absolutely outstanding this weekend. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, Greg. I'm always so proud to have worked with everybody over the course of the weekend with all the content that we provide, and that is even without the Pacers being a part of it. Just an incredible weekend, and since I have you here right now, just a job well done, my brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I am honored. I've now been a part of the post-race coverage on The Fan for the last 12 years, and again, even though I am now adjunct faculty and not full-time, I still take a lot of pride in what I do with the radio station, and there are few, if any, things like what was MS is now Radio 1 does from a wall-to-wall coverage standpoint in terms of the Indy 500. Obviously, the IndyCar Radio Network, the IMS Radio Network, is the star of the play-by-play coverage. What we provide would be called shoulder programming. It's pretty broad shoulders given everything that we do for the month. So I get to be the last voice you hear for our month to make coverage, and I take great pride in that. So thank you very much.
So it's weird. I got this thing from IU Indy with their new coach, and I swear to God, I thought it said Ben Howland when I first glanced at it. It's not Ben Howland, is it?
If you say it fast, it sounds like it. No, it's Ben Howlett, Howlett. Frankly, he was in contention for the job last time and nearly got it. IU Indy did not plan on there being another opening that would be coming through over the course of this year, but that's the way circumstances played out. Ben has been the head coach at West Liberty, and this is a very JMV-friendly style of play. Frankly, It is a Pacers style of play currently. They have been amongst the Division II leaders in points scored. To use the old Billy Tubbs parlance, if they don't hang 100 on you, something is wrong. It is very much a fun style to play. It is the Dickens to try to guard. It is an easy style to recruit to. And so hopefully the progress that was made last year can be replicated, if not improved, by a new coach. So hopefully out of a bad situation, something positive happens for IU Indy basketball.
So we're thinking this got Josh Schertz Jr. written all over it?
It seems like there's a lot of that at the Division II level. What Josh did at Lincoln Memorial to what Ben McCollum did at Northwest Missouri State. And forgive me, I know how good Nova Southeastern is every year, but I'm blanking on the head coach's name. But these are the places where Division I coaches have taken notice of what is going on at the Division II level. And those are programs that are frequently ones that have played at Evansville, that have been in the Elite Eight, that have played for national championships. And so, yes, there is somewhat of Josh Schertz has done, but there's almost been like these different little outposts in different parts of the country. And in West Virginia and in that conference, the Mountain East Conference, that is what West Liberty has been and the style that Ben has run so successfully.
It's Greg Raikstraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I want to ask you a couple of Pacers next questions in just a second, but Jeff Rickard asked me this today, and I answered it with the following regarding Marcus Erickson. Had he won the race, would they have flagged his car and penalized it in the fashion which they did? I just don't think any longer they have any choice. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think right now that anything, if it is not along the lines of the rules, that is going to be flagged from here on out. You agree?
I would say this. I'm thankful we're not having that conversation. I agree everything with what you're saying. I'm glad it did not come to that. Because obviously we think back to Bobby and Mario in 81, obviously what side you're on in terms of Paul Tracy, Elio Castro Neves in 2002. Right. And so kind of in a similar time window of that 20-plus years, here we are again. But your point is very well made. Given what you handed down to Team Penske last week, and anything else that there's going to be no leeway. The radar is turned up for everybody involved. So would they have done that if he was in the top spot? I think they would have, given what took place a week ago.
It's Greg Raikstraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I have put it in as simple terms as I can. 42.5 is not going to get it done. And that loss in Game 3 came down to pace of play, in particular in the fourth quarter. Pacers change that up tonight. Do they win?
I don't think it's a repeat of how they won in Game 4 against the Cavs by that ridiculously historic margin. But, yes, I would say this, and I spent time with Jake Query and Derek Schultz earlier today, and I forget which one of them said it, but I thought it was spot on. The Pacers played their C-plus game on Sunday night, and they still were tied with 90 seconds left to go. I think the Pacers learned from their mistakes from the Game 3 series against the Cavs, and same thing against the Knicks. I think the Pacers win tonight. Are they going to lead by 42 at halftime? Probably not. But do the Pacers win the game? And I thought the stat that Jake pointed out when he had Kristen Airy on earlier, in terms of you have to go back to St. Patrick's Day for the Pacers to have lost back-to-back games. To me, that was the most telling. In other words, the Pacers have learned from their mistakes, typically when they have made them, the few times they have made them over the case of the last couple of months. I think the Pacers get it done tonight.
All right, so I had put out the feelers, the signal. I want to play Timothy Chalamet in a game of one-on-one down here in Bicentennial Park before the game tonight. Do you think that he would have the NAD? Would he have the NADs to take the challenge, or would he stay holed up in that Super 8 down on the south side? What do you think he's doing?
I think perhaps he would have the challenge. But you got to remember, a lot of these actors have stunt doubles. So maybe it's a guy that looks like him that's a really good basketball player that would show up and take you on, appearing to be actually Timothy Chalamet.
Well, there's like 1,000 dorks that look just like him I see every day, so that shouldn't be too hard to find around here.
No, last time you asked me, or like I was in earshot of the conversation, and you asked for a game, that was when we did that judging of the contest of Monrovia. That I can hook you up with. If it comes to Indiana high school basketball coach, I'm your Huckleberry. When it comes to Chalamet, you're on your own on that one. I apologize.
I'm trying. I was trying right here as well. Plus, I play one-on-one full court. I don't play half court. Half court's boring as hell.
Now,
so we go one-on-one full court.
253-pound JMV play half court, or is this new skinny as all get out JMV?
Well, let me tell you what.
One-on-one.
When you played with Mark Barnheiser, it didn't matter. You're playing full court. Nobody ever played full half court with Mark Barnheiser. That's it. That's where I learned this from. Because prior to the Mark Barnheiser experience, I would play half court. But I'm not playing half court for nothing anymore. So that's just
I got to tell you, as a guy that is called FIBA sanctioned 3x3, I tend to be more of a half court type of fellow myself, but to each their own.
Yeah. Well, I thought maybe because you are so in tune with everything around here. I'm looking at Chalamet. There's zero way. Man, Greg, I would whip his ass in a second. But, I mean, I would think he would take the challenge being such a huge basketball fan and all, right?
Well, just, you're on until 6. Have somebody bring you some sort of placard. Make a sign. It's such a long walk. Go the block and a half from coaches. Be there at 6:05 with a sign. Chalamet show up. Challenging him to a game. That way you've got 2 hours before the game starts. I'm sure this will be a blaze on social media, not to mention, the blowtorch that is this radio station. And so keep speaking to existence, John. You've still got time to make this happen.
Well, I've never I don't think I've ever seen a movie he's in.
And the last time you went to a movie was when?
Well, I told people here I haven't seen a movie since 1989. I don't think so.
Right, exactly. Right. I think you and I perhaps have aged out of that demographic. I'm sure I have seen something he is in without knowing it. I'm not trying to besmirch the man as an actor, and it seems like, as compared to being a bandwagon guy, dude is legitimately a fan from the area, has been with them through thick and thin. To some degree, I respect that, but perhaps you and I aren't the greatest judges of his work. Let's put it that way.
I was trying to think of some of the celebrities they show all the time, and they all, get all aroused about it anytime they're shown. I know I could whip Ben Stiller's ass. I mean, I know that in basketball. Sting, I feel comfortable. Sudeikis. I think Sudeikis was a little bit athletic, was he not? So, I mean, he might be able to play a little bit, but I doubt it. Who else are we talking about?
Ted Lasso's the Knicks fan. Did I miss something here? Isn't he from Kansas City?
I think he goes to Knicks games too. They all do, so they can who's in the building segment, and they show everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
What would be the Indiana version at a Pacers games? What would be the who's in the building at a Pacers game?
Well,
we'd have Amp, we'd have Mike, we'd have Reggie,
Mike
Wayne.
Epps, Reggie Wayne. I think Terry Crews was here in Game 3. He was all over the TV. I think he was here for the 500, right?
Terry was at the 500 and happened to hop over there. I'm trying to think of celebrities that would be here in Indianapolis on a regular basis, like, Kathy Harrison, Susie Fisher. Trying to think of other people that we would put into that mix. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Don Fisher. Show Don Fisher.
Exactly.
Don Fisher's at the game, right? So that'd make a lot of sense. You think, I don't know, does Painter or DeVries, you think either one of those guys would go to the games here?
The last time I was at Gainbridge Fieldhouse was for the boys basketball state finals, and Jared DeVries was front and center. So maybe he is going to show up and get a little network love that way across the state.
I will say this: it'd be a really good one-on-one matchup with me and Dusty May if Dusty May were down here, the head coach of Michigan, because I played against him before. I think that would work.
I was going to say that'd be a really good matchup. That's more likely to happen, and B, there'd be a lot more respect in that game of one-on-one if that were to take place.
That is Greg Raikstraw with us. What you got cooking? I know I'm going to be over at Carroll Stadium coming up tomorrow, too, from what I've heard.
So I will make an appearance on the show for a second consecutive day, so that either an alert or a warning, depending on your perspective. But then for me, it's Indy 11 tomorrow night. After that, the next kind of big thing up for me, Indiana-Kentucky All-Star Week. I will have 4 different doubleheaders starting Sunday afternoon in Charlestown for the Indiana Juniors versus the Kentucky Juniors. And it all culminates with Indiana versus Kentucky at said Gainbridge Fieldhouse next Saturday evening at 5 o'clock.
All right. So Chris Pregame just sent me a photograph of Timothy Chalamet where he's wearing a scarf with no shirt. There is, this guy's not even scoring against me right here. A scarf with no shirt. Holy
hey, John, just
crap.
So you know, at the soccer match tomorrow, you are also allowed to wear a scarf with no shirt. That's viewed as acceptable in case you want to hang after the game, just so you know.
Man, Charles Nelson Riley reincarnated would have a better chance of beating me than this guy would. Holy crap. A scarf. He does have 1.9 million
John,
followers.
You've got 4 hours to make it happen.
Hey, I'm ready, too. I'm rocking the Michelob Ultra shoes from Zinc here, the Nike Dunks. I'm ready to go. All I need is a little competition. Just a little bit.
And if he doesn't show up, the hashtag is Chalamet didn't play. That's what we go with going forward on social media.
Yeah. Listen, unfortunately, a guy that looks like there's zero way this guy's going to show up right here. So it's unfortunate.
You never know.
Greg, I appreciate you, man. And again, I always say this. I am proud to be with you, especially on weekends like the past weekend. You and everybody else around Urban One. It was a fantastic weekend of broadcasting, fantastic month of broadcasting, buddy. Just a job well done.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
It's Greg Raikstraw and the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. Coach's Tavern, we're downtown. Michelob Ultra Zero presents the Eastern Conference Finals. Got a thanks to our friends at Zinc. Actually, Kevin showed up in the Coke lot on Saturday night. We had a great time together out there, too. It has been spectacular. Tony East at the top of the hour will probably crunch some numbers because he realizes I don't. I've just tagged this with a must-win. Two things. I'm restoring order after missing game number 3 later on tonight, and you'll see that happen right there before your eyes. And this is a must-win, and the winner of this game tonight wins the series. So I will also tell you this. I have this phrase, no jacking around, no jacking around. Go out and get it done. That's the Pacers to go up 3-1 at a best-of-7 Eastern Conference Finals. More about that, Tony East, Eddie Gill, and we're live at Coach's Tavern downtown. Do not go anywhere. Stream the app. It's HD Radio, and I'm looking at you right now. That is the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
You take drugs, Danny? Every day.
Good. So what's the problem?
I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, this is John, and I'm at Coach's Tavern. I'm downtown. Good Lord. Thank you very much, James. Bring us back. Sounds like the Elmer Quest JMV takeover right here on B105.7. It's not. It's the Ride with JMV in the afternoon on The Fan, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Tony East, top of the hour. Eddie Gill still going to join us a little bit later on. He said he's going to try. I have full faith that he's going to be here. We're going to hang a little bit later on. Michelob Ultra Zero brings to you the Eastern Conference Finals, and our friends at Zinc bring me to you on this Tuesday afternoon. I hope everybody had a fantastic long weekend. For those of you, and you know who you are, that showed up out of the Coke lot to hang out with me on Saturday for the JMV takeover, my goodness, did we have a great time. And for those of you that stayed in the Bronze Fun Time Camper, after we signed off at midnight, did we have an even better time? So that's great. Austin Braun and Braun's Fun Time Campers. Let me tell you what. Where do I begin with that greatness right there? Pendleton Pike is the location. Go in and tell Austin that you heard about him and Braun's Fun Time Campers on this show. Let me tell you, that went so well on Saturday night. We are going to do it again. And I promise next year, it will be even bigger and even better. But thanks to everybody, because really, to try to navigate that with wristbands, shout out to the sheriff's department that did not arrest my kid because he went out, forgot his wristband, and then tried to get back in. Thank you guys very much. But no, from the sheriff's department out there to the protection to Sean from Greenwood, the yellow shirt supervisor, who was absolutely awesome. Dev, and listen, I don't have to even say anything. Dev had the time of his life on Saturday. He did. Dev, our engineer, David Gray, who was out there too. I know Nick was out there with digital, getting a lot of video and a lot of pictures. It was spectacular. Oh, yeah, Dan Pantos back at B105.7 that ran things. Just an incredible time. So thank you all, too, just for providing the backdrop, the ingenuity, the know-how, the workmanship for us all to have such an incredible time and an incredible weekend. At JMV 1070 on the social media platform X, JMV, did you watch Get Up this morning and see that mostly everybody picked the Knicks? First of all, come on now. I wouldn't spend 2 seconds watching that crap show, Get Up. Who the hell's going to watch that? All the dorks that are on there. I mean, even like Marcus Morris. Do I have to hear from Marcus Morris and Gilbert Arenas? They wouldn't know their ass from nothing. And they sure as hell don't know anything about the Pacers. So why the hell will I waste my time watching anything like that? I mean, hell, we know how that's going to go. But this one's all up to the Pacers later on tonight. I mean, impose your will the way that you play against the Knicks offensively, or now you're going to endure the consequences. That's exactly what they did in the second half, and especially late in the fourth quarter. 36-20 in the fourth quarter. That is a blowout, even though they only lost by 6. Well, they were a Miles three-point make from here and there. 36-20 in the fourth. That's the storyteller. Dictate the tempo offensively, and you win. And if you win Game 4, you win the series. Tony is going to join us on the other side. Eddie Gill, Pacers Radio, also coming up. Coach's Tavern downtown. This is the beginning stage of Game 4 on a Tuesday night in May. You guys got to be a part of it. Join us here. Coach's Tavern downtown. Michelob Ultra Zero brings the Eastern Conference Finals to you. We bring you this show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Coach's Tavern downtown. Thank you for joining us. Prior to game number 4, this is going to be the hangout place. The Eastern Conference Finals brought to you by Michelob Ultra Zero. Our friends from Zinc got us here. Tommy S. is the owner. We'll talk with him again coming up. I am here to restore order after wussing out on Sunday and going home. Yeah, I know it was a long weekend and I was tired, but I regret that a great deal. I don't know what was worse. I don't know, me wussing out in the fashion which I did, or the Pacers in the fourth quarter, or in the second half, playing at the tempo provided by the Knicks, which cannot happen. So I am here later on tonight. I'm going to the game, and I'm going to restore a little bit of order. So feel comfortable about that. So you're going to get me back, and you know what happens when I go to games. So you're going to get me back, except when I go to the Colts games. When you get me back, you know what's going to happen, and then the tempo, which is the most important, along with the health of an ankle of one Aaron Neesmith. And joining us to talk about that on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline and crunch some numbers too, it is our good friend Tony East. Find his work at Forbes Sports, the next hoops, Locked On Pacers. Tony's here in the 4 o'clock hour. Again, we're live from Coach's Tavern downtown. Hello, Tony. How are you?
I'm good. I did not bail early from the game, but I didn't go to the 500. So you can blame me instead of you if you would like.
Well, the problem was, the problem was I got to man up a little bit. I had not slept since Thursday. I hadn't slept since Thursday, and I came downtown to do like 23 minutes worth of a pre-Pacers show, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and go home and watch this, and that to me is the equivalent of wussing out. And, you know, we saw what happened, especially in the second half and especially in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, I'm going to make up for that later on tonight and help restore order where the Pacers will tempo-wise as well.
Yeah, it was really strange the way this game went because, you know, the other 2 game threes that they lost in this playoffs, which all 3 of their losses so far were like something very different from their opponent that flummoxed them, right? The Bucks were switching way more. They took Brook Lopez basically out of the rotation, right? They went to the Giannis and shooters group more. It was very obvious what the changes were. The Cavs went to a 3-2 zone, right? They had to solve that. And, like, the Knicks did change their starting 5 and change their rotation up, but it doesn't feel like they strategically did anything so different in that second half of Game 3 that the Pacers stunk in. And so it's just like a bunch of little things the Pacers have to do better, which in some case I think they're right to say it's just on them to play better and play like themselves. But on the other hand, it's a little different than the first 2 times where they just needed to make some big kind of obvious adjustment to a big problem. Like, they've got to play a lot better in a lot of ways, even though they were up 20 in that game. Like, that was a long stretch of the Knicks being better that the Pacers do kind of have to solve and figure out tonight.
So Tony East joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. If you were a betting dude, does Aaron Neesmith give this thing a go later on this evening?
Yes. If I was a betting dude, I would guess yes. The conference finals, that dude told us a few weeks ago he would literally die for basketball and his team in Milwaukee after a big game. He played at the end of the game in Game 3. You know, with ankles, it's different because it can feel fine and you can get the pain stuff, and then 2 days later it's all swollen up and it's much different. I think that happened with Kyle Lowry in the playoffs a few years ago when he was with Toronto, right? It's not fait accompli that he's going to play, but my guess would be, just given who Aaron Neesmith is, if there's a 1% chance he'll play, then he will play, and I think there's a 1% chance he'll play, so my guess is that he'll be out there. Will he be 100%? I'm not sure, but I think he'll be there.
Well, and again, we saw him go, and I've never seen him go off of 1 foot like he's me, like he did on the baseline on one of those shot attempts. So you could tell that was obviously bugging him right there. But maybe go into deeper detail the impact once he rolled that ankle of what took place and the fortunes of his team after that point.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't really that he was missing, I would say. Like, it obviously mattered. He's a great player and has had a great series, and he's been their mostly their key matchup on Brunson, but, like, Brunson was out of the game with foul trouble, and Shepherd kept the ball moving and didn't really mess up that much. You know, it wasn't necessarily just his absence that caused him to be bad. It's just a lot of stuff that, like, they were doing even earlier in that game or throughout the playoffs that just got away from him, right? Their pace, completely went away. They mentioned that themselves post-game, and the Knicks deserve some credit for that, I suppose, but it was a lot of self-imposed things from the Pacers. I think T.J. McConnell kind of admitted yesterday that, like, when you go up 20, human nature kicks in a tiny bit, and it's, tough to get that back when you lose it. Their defense on Cat was not good. I thought they should have doubled him a little sooner, especially when Brunson was not in the game early in that fourth quarter, and I get why they didn't when he's just flicking in threes over and over again, but he was the only real half-court weapon out there for New York. That was really tough, and Pacers didn't get any live ball steals in that fourth quarter, right? They didn't get to the open floor the way they want. Just a lot of, like, stuff that you'd consider the Pacers' identity wasn't happening. Too much mismatch hunting, too slow on defense, and it led to a bad product. They did not look like themselves. Only 42 points in that whole second half.
Hey, Tony, I'm a big fan of trying to find a mismatch because that has benefited them. But what that led to, especially in the second half, as we saw, and the fourth quarter, I guess I should say, is late clock situations with I cringe when I see the Pacers playing half court, slow down, late clock situations. It's brutal.
100%. And, like, they're very good at using mismatch hunting as, like, a function of what they do, right? Like, run a fast offense, get a mismatch, and, like, target that player in an action. But when it's the only thing they're doing, they look bad, right? They get into it and then they dribble and ISO too much and they have to give it up to somebody else, or they set a screen that's unnecessary. And you can get some good shots out of it. Like Siakam's been dominating the Knicks every time he gets a mismatch this whole series. But when it becomes their entire offense or like what they're trying to get to, they just don't look like themselves. And I know that they know it. They try not to do it, but it just becomes such a natural way to try to get out of a funk. And they tried to in the fourth quarter and a lot of second half, and they couldn't do it enough, right? It needs to be something that's a part of what they do and not all they do, and you saw what the problems that can lead to was in that fourth quarter.
So Tony East, who joins us, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. How do you think they approach the Cat situation defensively? Again, listen, he's a good offensive player. However, he can't guard you or I defensively most of the time. That is problematic. And I guess beyond that, too, Tony, I was kind of thinking how much of the changes, the starting lineup, the adding bodies off the bench, the Shamets, the Wrights, those guys playing, did that have any determining quality factor in the outcome of that game positively for the Knicks? Or can you just look at the shot-making ability late of Towns combined with the Pacers' slow break type of style as ultimately dictated exactly what took place in that game?
I view it as more of the latter right now. I mean, obviously, I don't know that I would think that's the only things for sure. The starting lineup, like with Mitch in there instead of Hart, was a negative. That group did not do as well, but the actual Knicks starting five that they've used the rest of the series did well. They just weren't playing against the Pacers starter, so it felt different when they were out there and their effect that they had. They're good players. They just don't all fit perfectly, right? So just reassigning who's out there with who against who, that's kind of, I think, what that was more effective at doing. And then with the second unit, when Josh Hart can be the point guard there or handle the ball a little bit, they don't need to play campaign, so they can play Dalen Wright or Landry Shamet instead, and Shamet can shoot a little better and Wright's a better defender. That just made a lot more sense. Like, it actually worked for the Knicks. So I don't know that it was like a huge impact, maybe like 2 or 3 points in total, but certainly a positive for New York. I wonder if the Pacers consider changing the front court matchups with who's on Towns and Robinson between Turner and Siakam, especially when only one of those two guys is out there. I think that's one thing to look at, but I'm not sure you can expect like high impact games from Shamet or Dalen Wright going forward. I think they're just kind of different skill set guys instead of campaign. I don't know how significant that is, although I don't think it was nothing that they changed the rotation and found better groups, and foul trouble also played into their minutes. So we'll see what it really looks like tonight.
Hey, Tony, would you have contemplated going back to McConnell in the latter portions of that fourth quarter?
I would have. The guy I was thinking they might try to go back to is Obi Toppin. But probably for similar reasons of what you're asking, right? Like when your tempo's gone, what players are going to give it back to you? And like McConnell's first half, I mean, the half you were at the game for, it sounds like, was awesome, right? That was his best half in a while. And Toppin was plus 19, and I get that that's kind of a function of when he was in the game and not what he was doing, but he still played well and adds juice to, like, just by existing. It makes the game faster, and they were way too slow in that second half. They went to a front court of Toppin, Siakam, Turner, all three for like a minute and a half in that game, and I thought it was pretty effective. I wouldn't be surprised if they went to that again, especially if Nesmith doesn't play or is limited, because the size and speed element is really tough for New York to deal with. McConnell has had an up and down series, but more ups than downs so far. It wouldn't shock me if they went to him a few more times. I think they need to play him without Halliburton more often. The overlap's just not working very well for the Pacers in the series, even though both players have been good. So did it surprise me they didn't turn back to him? Not really, but I think it would have made sense just given the specific issues of tempo that they were dealing with.
Did it surprise you that they stuck with Tony Bradley in the fashion which they did and didn't go with Toppin? I mean, it didn't surprise me because it was almost like you're writing, hey, what have you done for me lately type of situation right there. But these are just, I think, second-guess measures that we always come up with in situations like that.
Yeah, I feel bad for Tony Bradley because he's played well in this series. Like, what they need him to do is fight with Mitchell Robinson on the boards. But I think they should only play Tony Bradley when Mitchell Robinson's out there. And there's going to be this lasting image for a lot of people of him out there in the fourth quarter with Cat just driving right past him to the basket, right? Like, that was not a sequence I would have gone to him. And you could very easily turn around and go, well, Obi Toppin wouldn't have got that stop either. And I agree with that, but Toppin gives you way more offensively with shooting and speed than Bradley does. And so that's why I think the discussion should have been, could Toppin have taken those minutes and given the Pacers enough tilted offensively to make Cat defend in space, make him move more than Tony Bradley did in those moments. And again, Bradley's had a fine series. Like, it wouldn't shock me if they keep going to him instead of Thomas Bryant, especially as Bryant has this finger thing that he got in game 2. But, I just think they function better with Toppin out there, and going small doesn't seem that terrifying. I get that they lose something defensively, but that offense-defense tilt seems like it would actually help them, especially given what Cat's defensive limitations are.
There is Tony East on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. 7:30 coverage begins with game number 4 pregame. Pat Boyle and Mark Boyle, Eddie Gill coming up tonight. That tip time at the Fieldhouse for game 4 is coming up at 8 o'clock. A couple of things I wanted to get to out of all this as well. And, in terms of the Pacers dictating tempo, I think you and I both know, we talked about this before, how important that it is. What will New York try to do to sustain that level of pace that clearly they got and they benefited from late in that game on Sunday night?
Yeah, their offense is slow generally. Like, I think they're okay with that being how they play. It was interesting thinking back to game 1 during the fourth quarter of that game, because in game 1, to me, the Knicks would go to do their half-court thing, and it would be slow-paced, and then the Pacers would come do their half-court thing, and it'd be fast, right? Like, it didn't necessarily matter what the Knicks did. The Pacers could still get to the speed they wanted, and that's why the fourth quarter was so fascinating to me of game 3, because the Knicks were playing slow, and the Pacers couldn't speed it up. They couldn't get in transition enough. Their offense was too, non-functional. They weren't playing their way. So I know that the Knicks are going to play that way again, but I still feel like the Pacers, if they just kind of focus on themselves and playing the way they want and continue to play random and really just keep playing, right? Keep going, even if nothing has popped up yet. I think they'll get their tempo back pretty easily. And I think they know now, seeing how bad that half went and how kind of too settled or tepid they got, that, it's important that they keep that tempo, right? The fact that they lost it was such a huge story. They still almost won the game, but they've got to figure out a way to not let that happen. And I don't even think it's necessarily anything the Knicks did. The Knicks just happened to play slow and have a good defensive half. But I think the Pacers can be better than that just by being more themselves.
All right. Could tonight be a defining moment in the Benedict Mathurin history with this Pacer team?
Maybe. I mean, if Neesmith doesn't play, it has a chance to be, certainly. Right. I actually think if Neesmith doesn't play, Mathurin should get the start. Keep Shepard with the second unit. McConnell's better. Not paired with Mathurin. At least he has been in the playoffs so far. We saw Mathurin do well with the starters for like a month and a half this season. And, yeah, in this series, he hasn't been bad. I think it's been overstated what he's done. It's just that the way they want to play and the way they've been their best in the playoffs, he doesn't add to that a lot unless he's cutting or passing a lot, and he hasn't and doesn't have a lot of chances to do those sort of things at a high level. And his defense has just kind of been in general. So it's not necessarily that he's bad. It's just that there's some better fits elsewhere. And I would like to see if Neesmith doesn't play, him be that kind of player, because they don't want to slow down. It's very intentional that they don't slow down, and that makes it harder for Mathurin to be at his best. But, yes, I mean, I think the series has kind of shown what the Pacers want to do in the playoffs is not what is traditionally done, of slowing down. And there won't be those kind of moments for Mathurin to be Mathurin, which in some ways is bad for him, but in some ways has helped the Pacers. And tonight, if he has a bigger opportunity, if he doesn't seize it, or if those opportunities don't lead to like a much bigger scoring night, he still only has had that one big half in the second half of Game 3 against the Cavs this entire playoffs. I mean, I kind of think that this series has already kind of defined what the Matherin playoff experience will be with the Pacers. But if Nesmith doesn't go and he has a great game, it could change things a bit. So today is, in theory, if Nesmith doesn't go, important. But if Nesmith does play, I think he'll get his 10 minutes, and he's just got to make the most of them, right? The opportunities he wants probably won't be there, but if he can at least help out, it'll be fine.
So are you not a believer of the theory that since the tee and the ejection that Matherin has had a struggle, that's something he's trying to overcome?
I mean, it is still the defining moment of his postseason, right? That ejection, I would say. It's the most noteworthy thing that's happened.
Hey, by the way, before you, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, Tony. Let me continue this, and then you can play off of this. So this is what I notice, and maybe it's just me noticing too much. I notice staff and teammates trying to lift him up with positivity, and to me, they kind of feel that he is in a head funk right now. And let me give you an example of that. Let's just say, I thought the lone really standout play was that look ahead to Siakam for the layup when the Pacers were really getting going in the game on Sunday night. And I thought Siakam did even more as a team leader to try to lift him up. I mean, it really was. I mean, it was a pass play that anybody in the NBA should be able to make. But I thought Siakam made a lot more out of it, saying, hey, this is who you are. This is your game right now on the rise, and this is who you can be. I thought that was a level of leadership. And to me, it looks like these guys are trying to approach that with Matherin as if they know that he's in a funk, and they're trying to help him dig out of that. Have you seen any of that at all?
Yeah, I have. And I think a lot of that is, you got to kind of keep the guys' spirits up when it's hard for them to be themselves, and you have to think a lot. And, as Matherin's career has kind of gone, he's gotten a lot better at playing the Pacers' way and not having to kind of fight against his own instincts and fight himself, right? But in the playoffs, I think it's not shifted back to that. It's just been less chances for him to have the ball and actually make decisions and show what he's got. Like, he's in the corner a lot as McConnell handles it with the second unit or whatever group he's out there with. So he just kind of needs to be engaged via an external source because he doesn't have the touches to really lift himself up in the way that some other guys do. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong for the Pacers. It's just kind of reality. And he's had certainly some tougher moments, throughout the postseason, including the ejection, obviously, but a few more. And so they got to keep him engaged because I still think there'll be a moment where they really need it. Maybe that answer is tonight, right? He's had some super games against the Knicks throughout the season, we'll see. But it's just kind of a rock and a hard place for the Pacers of do they try to get him more involved, but if it doesn't work, they look bad? Or does he need to get more involved in the flow of what they're doing, but if he does a bad job, he won't play? And so there's a lot to kind of sort out, and I think it's kind of important that his teammates act the way they do to keep him engaged externally because it's going to be really hard for just flow of the game stuff to give Ben Matherin a huge night unless they're playing against some heavy switching all the time, he's getting an easy matchup or his own, like the second half of Game 3 against the Cavs, when I thought he was his best in the playoffs as a player so far.
What's the Shepherd role going to look like in Game 4 tonight, according to you?
Same as it's been. If Nesmith plays, I mean, he's like one of the few guys who can actually pressure Brunson and doesn't mess up when to shoot and give up the ball. And, he doesn't dribble ever. His passing is kind of and the defense can have moments where he gets a little beat, but he fights through screens better than just about anybody on the team. Never, ever, ever stops running. There's a chance he starts if Nesmith doesn't play. I wouldn't do that, but I would understand it if they do. He started last year, and Halbert got hurt in the conference finals. He's had a nice series. His specific strengths help a lot against the Knicks, and he keeps things moving, right? You saw their tempo die in that fourth quarter. That doesn't happen as often when Shepherd's on the floor. So he's just kind of the perfect functioning fit piece, and there's a reason they keep turning to him.
Tony East joins us. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'm not asking you for a straight-up prediction here, so how do you think this bad boy's going to go tonight? What's your feel?
These two teams, statistically and just game to game, have had nothing really separate them, right? They're very similar in, shooting percentage and actually the actual scoreboard and rebounding and turnover and all sorts of stuff just suggests that these two teams are very even, and crunch time has decided every game so far. With a miracle in Game 1, the Pacers holding on in Game 2, and the Knicks finally vanquishing the crunch time Pacers in Game 3. I truly think we can go through all this stuff to make it seem like the Pacers have all these things they could do to carry a big edge into the fourth, and they had a 20-point lead in the second quarter of Game 3, but I think it'll come down to crunch time or like the fourth quarter again. Who can be themselves the most? Who can continue to flow and not get swallowed up by the moment? And I'm not saying that they got swallowed up by a moment in Game 3, but they got swallowed up by themselves and some changes from the Knicks. So if they could just be themselves, I think they have a chance to win this game, and it'll come down to crunch time. But if the Knicks can keep shaking them out, or if they can keep getting in their own way, it'll be a lot harder.
Did you think the crowd was hungover, especially in the second half? I thought it was more of a product of the Pacers' brand of basketball. It was just kind of boring ass, especially late in the game. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they were up 20. Everybody was amped. They showed hello during the late second quarter. Like all the exciting stuff was done, right? And then they played like crap. And there were a few highlight moments in the second half. Like they were up 16 late in the third, right? If that had held into the fourth, I think it would have ignited a lot of people. But then the lead went to about 8 right before the end of that, and they were up 10 going into the fourth. So even though they were winning by 10, there was a lot of like tensity, anxiety from fans of just like, oh man, like what's going on here? And then Cat just went crazy. So there was never like a moment for them to get back into the game. And the Pacers only took one more lead the rest of the way and had a lot of like, that's the shot you get kind of possessions, right? So nothing that really juiced anybody up outside of an occasional important stop here or there on defense. So the hangover, the Pacers and Racers is a long day for a lot of people. The way the game flowed, just a lot of stuff took fans out of it.
So I have issued a challenge to actor Timothy Chalamet. Me and him in one-on-one in Bicentennial Plaza before the game. What do you think? Who you got?
I have heard you are a decent player, and I think you will have the height advantage. So I have.
Wait. Did you just say decent player? Decent?
Are you not flattered by that? That's a high bar to clear for me to say, like any average Joe.
No, decent. I think you just described me as like James Boyd saying decent. I'm a little, better than that.
To be clear, I am not a decent player, so I consider that a compliment.
Decent. So, and I want to do one-on-one, but I don't play half court. We go full court.
Oh, boy.
We run it.
Oh, boy.
We run it. Full court one-on-one.
Okay, I do not want to play in this instance. I don't even want to watch.
That will separate the men from the boys right there. Let me tell you that. Full court one-on-one. Because, it is you, and that is it. And you either guard or you don't. You either run or you don't. So, full court one-on-one. I'm assuming he's still here, right? Somewhere? And going to the
game every
tonight?
game so far. I kind of like that he came all the way here screaming courtside, right? It's a non-problematic fan. You got to like it, right?
How many do you think are going to end up selling their courtside or close to the court tickets that are Pacer fans to these Knicks fans tonight?
There were 3 right next to Rick during Game 3. I thought that was fascinating that they got Knicks fans.
What the hell, that one guy had a driver's suit on or something, didn't he? What the hell was that about?
Yeah, I mean, the prices are crazy high. Like, I read this. I didn't actually check this, but I believe it's potentially cheaper to get a round-trip flight ticket and a hotel in Indy for Game 4 and a ticket to the game than one MSG ticket for a New Yorker, which is just crazy.
So you're thinking we're going to have a bunch of the BO-ridden blue and orange in this building tonight. Is that what you're saying?
They were cheering quite loud, like noticeably loud in Game 3. So I do think that's possible, yes.
All right, man. We'll check it out. Tony East is with us as he normally joins us, too. He could have been live if he wanted to, but I don't know if you're down here yet. Forbes Sports, the Next Hoops, and Locked On Pacers. We could get you all tuned up before the game, too, which, it's what I have to. I have to do it because I got to restore a little bit of order. I got to get back down there tonight. I felt bad about Sunday. I felt, just as much as the lack of tempo and the half-court offense and the late clock situation and all that, me not being there also played a significant role, so I got to go back.
All the changes we can talk about, the only one that matters is that you are there the entire 48, 2.5 hours, and your butt's in the seat.
Hey, buddy, I'm also going to rock that awful Yes Sir's Nation shirt, too, by the way.
What did you think of Vroom Baby?
Oh, I'd take that. I think the Yes Sir's thing I hate, and I've hated it from the moment I saw it. I hate it. And then Yes Sir's Nation, that makes me want to vomit. Seriously, that's awful. But I will wear it tonight. If it's on the seat, I'll wear it anyway. But, yeah, Yes Sir's Nation. What do you think about Yes Sir's, Tony? You dig that?
I used like my friends when I was in high school would call them the sirs, so it was like already part of the lexicon. I'd heard about the team, so I don't hate it. I don't love it either. It's fine. It's fine.
Is it just for this era? Like the person that came up with yes sirs also probably uses sliding into somebody's DMs all the time. Correct? Is that kind of where we are?
They say like they use Tyrese Halliburton phrases like aura farming and things like that. Yeah.
Hey man, Halliburton and I were on the same page for that post game presser because he said exactly what I said. Man, he gets us as well, and I guess his dad's back in the building later on tonight too, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so awesome. Hey, buddy, I appreciate it more than you know. We'll look for you at the game, and we'll do it again soon. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, you got it. See you later.
Tony East on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I shall tell. By the way, I'm sorry. I know Evan Sherrill is back, right, James, with Cluster Truck in the studio right now. Hello, Evan. How are you?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Did you bring me some food? Because I am drinking. I'm drinking a lot, and I've only had one protein bar today, so I'm going to need some salmon.
That's
Am
tough.
I salmon worthy? Salmon
yes.
worthy tonight?
I do have the salmon for you. I'm not sure how great that's going to be at soaking up all of the booze, but I think it'll do a decent job. And yeah, salmon, roasted veg for you.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate that. What'd you get our guy James back there?
Well, I know James loves that Nashville hot sauce, so we got him the Nashville hot chicken strips, some tater tots on the side, that house-made ranch as well. Now that is the meal I would go to soak up all of the booze, but I hope the salmon does it for you.
I think I'm going to be all good. Hey, Cluster Truck, great night, too, if you're staying home watching the game, right? $5 off. You mentioned FAN as the promo code. $5 off a $25 order or more with Cluster Truck, correct?
Correct, yep. Use code FAN at checkout. That's $5 off 25 or more. Staying home to watch the Eastern Conference Finals just makes sense. You know, long weekend, nobody wants to cook. Just sitting on the couch, order some Cluster Truck, get $5 off.
Yes. Man, you guys, Evan, are the absolute best. ClusterTruck.com. Again, the promo code FAN. Use that $5 off a $25 order or more. You guys put my salmon in the fridge. I'll grab it on my way home, okay?
Will do. Yeah, no, will do.
Thank you, buddy.
Sweet. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
Evan Sherrill, Cluster Truck, ClusterTruck.com. Promo code FAN. No cooking tonight. If you're not going to the game, order in ClusterTruck.com. Try the salmon, the mixed vegetables, what James has as well. Quick break. We'll come back. Michelob Ultra Zero brings the Eastern Conference Finals to you. Zinc brings me to you at Coach's Tavern downtown. Eddie Gill still to come. Your calls on the other side at 239-1070. We've got more for you on game number 4 of the East Finals tonight. Tip time 8 o'clock, 7:30 coverage begins. You're going to find it right here, 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Sex Panther by Odeon. It's illegal in 9 countries.
It's quite pungent. Stings the nostrils.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'll crank this up, James. We have an RIP today. Man, this is a great song right here. Rick Derringer. And if you know Rick Derringer, you know the song Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. God, this is a good song right here. Hey, James, I'm going to shut up here. Crank this up and let it roll. R.I.P. Rick Derringer. Light my fuse. God, that's good. Rick Derringer has passed away at the age of 77 earlier today. That is going to be an RIP, I'm assuming, for everybody with the JMV takeover coming up on Saturday night. A sky point to the late Rick Derringer. He also, if you remember, a lot of you wrestling dudes probably remember when the WWF, James, you remember when the WWF had that album back in 1985?
That probably predates me a bit, but I know WWF has had a ton of albums released.
Oh, have they?
Oh, yeah.
Well, this has I Am a Real American.
Oh, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan's acting like he's playing the guitar, but it's really Rick Derringer doing all of it. Because Hulk Hogan did a lot of acting, as we well know. I Am a Real American plays most often than not during, any patriotic holiday, and especially that of the 4th of July. But did you know that was Rick Derringer?
I did not know.
I am a real American. He did that song. I think 1985 is what it was right there. And I think Hulk Hogan got a lot of credit for it because he acted like he was playing the guitar in the video, but that was actually Rick Derringer right there.
Released January 1st, 1985.
There you go, my brother right there. Just ask me and I'll tell you because I got the knowledge. R.I.P. to Rick Derringer, who passed away earlier today at the age of 77. That is sad news today. We'll celebrate that, I'm sure. And Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo coming up on Saturday night with the JMV takeover. Skivvy says, I think Yes Sir's Nation seems lazy. I don't know if it's lazy. I just don't like Yes Sirs. And I certainly don't think Yes Sir's Nation. But that could be me. Maybe others agree and dig it a great deal. I don't know if I've ever came across anybody that actually likes it. But you all forget about it when they win, and then I go, God, this sucks when they lose. Jeremiah writes this, I agree with you that Matherin has struggled since his ejection and his mojo has been stolen. JMV, why did Tony East not tell you this is a must-win? Because I didn't ask him, but it is. The winner of this game later on tonight, Game 4, with the Knicks and the Pacers, the winner of Game 4 wins the series. So, yes, must win this up for the Pacers. I know they'll still have games remaining, and mathematically, yeah, whatever. Nerd, just believe me. The winner tonight wins the series. And let's face it, too. I mean, the Pacers got to get back on track, especially in that fourth quarter. 36-20 in the fourth. You cannot leave that thing hanging at all. You got to go out and get it. And as I mentioned, too, not only do you have to go out and get it, I'm expecting – I know that we're supposed to be nearing the summer, late spring and 80-degree temperatures, and it looks like late March out here right now, which is incredibly bullcrap. And I blame Sean Ash and all the other meteorologists around here because this sucks. This weather absolutely – I mean, think about your Memorial Day weekend and how awful it was. Especially on race day Sunday. Yesterday, you had to deal with that crap. It's just been some consistent November-esque cloud cover that stinks. But through all that, got to have a little fan base later on tonight that's incredibly active. active fan base? Because I know that it wasn't, and you can throw out a number of excuses. But the biggest excuse to me is because late in that game, I didn't think the Pacers gave them a lot to get really excited about. A great deal of disappointment. Dictate terms and dictate the tempo, Pacers. That's where this all begins. Right there. Gregory writes this: I'm a Fever, Pacer, and Racer fan, but as a lifelong Hoosier, this Memorial Day weekend left a lot to be desired. No doubt about that. All right, 239-1070. James, did John here on line one grow up with Rick Derringer? John, is this true?
Yeah, it is. How you doing?
John, thank you for the call. Share a little bit with us because we're a big fan of Rick Derringer around here.
Rick Derringer was originally Rick Zeringer from my hometown of Union City, Indiana. And he and his brother and another couple guys from Union City formed the McCoys that did Hang On Sloopy in 1965. You're right. And he was my neighbor growing up, a wonderful guy. He taught me how to paint model cars. And I haven't seen him for a couple years. I know he's been touring. He toured with the Ringo Starr All-Star Band. Great guy, and one of my best friends was with him, I think, when he died today, or yesterday.
Wow.
So it's a sad day for Union City, but we're so proud of him.
So, hey, John, it says here that he was born in Salina, Ohio. Is that right across the border in Ohio from Union City?
Well, it's near there. They moved, so Union City, if you know, it spans two states because the state line runs right through the middle of town. So half's in Indiana and half's Ohio. And they moved to Union City when, Rick was probably in the, 6th or 7th grade. And his younger brother, Randy, who played the drums for the McCoys, he must have been in the 5th grade because we played basketball together.
So, yeah, Hang On Sloopy was the McCoy song, I think, going back to 1964. If you were to look at it, because that was an incredibly popular song, right? Which was more popular? What Rick Derringer did in 73 with Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo or Hang On Sloopy?
Well, Hang On Sloopy was the #1 selling song of 1965.
All right, that makes sense.
And it topped Yesterday by the Beatles on the charts.
Is that does Ohio State use that song today?
Yeah, it's their state song. Yeah.
Huh. Wow, the stuff you can learn. So John grew up and is a friend of Rick Derringer. Now, did you ever ask him about being a part of that WWF album back in 1985?
I wasn't Hulk Hogan, but I do remember when they were. So I have two photos of them when they were. Probably in junior high school. But the first band was the Rick Z Combo, for Rick Zeringer, and the second was Rick and the Raiders, and they just took off from there. They got discovered in Dayton, Ohio, by some other band, and Randy, the drummer, was, I think, maybe a sophomore in high school when they did Hang On Sloopy.
So what compelled him to change his name to Derringer?
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
Huh. Wow. Man, John, that is awesome. I had no idea his background started in Union City, Indiana. I had no idea I had a listener that grew up and knew him. That's outstanding, John. Thank you very much for the information, and thanks for the motivation of calling and sharing.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. Enjoy your show.
Thank
Every
you.
day.
That's John. Yeah, John, thank you very much, man. Hope to see you very soon. John grew up with Rick Derringer, who passed away today at the age of 77. I forgot about, obviously, his association with the McCoys and Hang On Sloopy. What did you say? That was the #1 song in 1965? Yeah, that's a big deal right there. John, thank you very much. 239-1070. Jerome is next. Jerome, hello. How are you?
How you doing, John, my friend? It's that time again, playoff time.
You got that right. Jerome, talk to me.
Here's what my concern is. I was hoping Thibodeau would stay stubborn and not do what the Western Conference did last year, putting Cat out there with a true center. He had success with Rudy Gobert. Now that we know they're going to play like this, I've been clamoring for this all year on the low. You can start. I know Miles might not like it because of the days of Domas. If Cat's going to play the power forward, put Miles on him, start Bradley on the Mitchell Robinson. Guess what? Put Siakam as a big hyper small forward and let him punish the little guy. He can play small forward anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to the Tony Bradley experience, and I'd happen to agree with what Tony East had to say. If, like, Mitchell Robinson is in there and you need Tony Bradley, fine. But, man, I didn't like going away as much as they did from Obi Toppin the other night.
I see what you're saying there.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I am with that. And see, I want the Knicks to have to match up with the Pacers, not vice versa here, Jerome, if that makes sense for you. And I think if the Pacers are doing what the Pacers need to do, should do, and have to do to win the game, I think that's what's going to happen with the Knicks. I just thought that was part of the situation where the Pacers had to respond with the dictation of the Knicks, especially late in the second half on Sunday night. That cannot, Jerome, happen tonight.
Well, when the Knicks got rolling, I thought Rick waited too long to bring the starters back. My concern is, and I know we all love him, Benedict Mathurin, the way he plays, cannot play in this series. He cannot slow down the ball, get a couple dribbles, and go one-on-one because it stops the offense. My other concern is if the Pacers don't treat tonight like Game 7, they're going to have problems. The Knicks got a split here. We still have to go back to New York. Even if we beat them tonight, they got another game in their back pocket. And if they can win in New York and come here and put the onus on us to close them out in Game 6 and we don't, we're in trouble. We need to put them away. We need to blow them out. We don't need a close game. We need to let them know we gave them a game. Because right now they have hope. We don't want them to have any hope.
I feel you on that, Jerome. Thank you very much for the call. Let me take a break, and we'll come back. Coach's Tavern downtown. Michelob Ultra Zero brings you the Eastern Conference Finals. My friends at Zinc and Tommy S. and Coach's Tavern bring us to you today. This is your pregame place to hang out before game number 4 with the Knicks and the Pacers tonight. The tip time, 8 o'clock, 7:30 coverage begins here on The Fan. I would love to see you down here. We're going to have a hell of a time up until we head down to the field house and get set for game 4. Ben Orr says you also have a listener, James, who may or may not have been the basis for the Cars. JMV, hard to believe Hang On Sloopy and Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo came from the same guy. Outstanding. JMV, this is from Michael. You get so many idiots that call with bad takes. John and his Rick Derringer story is an all-star. Chad Bach says Rick Derringer played in Cyndi Lauper's live band in the late 1980s and the early 90s. Rick Derringer, that was a great story by John, by the way, too. Growing up with Rick Derringer, who passed away today at the age of 77. Coach's Tavern downtown. Quick break. We'll come back. Eddie Gill, hopefully. James, what's the word on Eddie Gill? Have we heard?
I have not had any update.
No update. And again, what did he say? He would do what?
His exact words were, I'll try to get there by 5:30/45 time frame.
5:30, 40. Thank you, my brother. That's great right here. We'll hang out. Otherwise, me and you. Rest of the way, 239-1070, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube live at Coach's Tavern downtown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Look at all those ding-dongs.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, there it is, James. R.I.P. to Rick Derringer. Rick Derringer of Union City, Indiana, passed away today. Rick Derringer was 77 years of age, and a childhood friend, a longtime friend, John called that a little bit earlier. That was an awesome informational phone call right there. Well done. Rick Derringer was 77. John writes this, JMV, I have not been able to listen today yet. Just making sure you called this one a must-win. It is a must-win beyond must-wins today. Yes, I think the winner of this game wins the series. Are we all on board with that? Likely so, right? The winner of this wins the series. And a bounce back from this Pacer team is necessary. Hey, JMV, I was just checking out all the picks. How about Big Perk going with the Knicks? Should not surprise you. I think Haslam went with the Pacers. None of that matters. We just get to make fun of them. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. A lot of these dudes haven't watched the Pacers for maybe 3 games. That's it. Seriously, 3 games. Some of them didn't watch the Pacers against the Cavaliers or the Pacers against the Bucks. Like these 3 games. And that's been about it. JMV, how many Knick fans you think we're going to see in the building later on tonight? Many is what I suggested a little bit earlier. And with that, do you think the Pacer fans will be a little bit more hyped than they were on Sunday night after a long day and a long weekend? Well, I certainly would hope so. But I will also tell you this, it can be up to the Pacers to help them get a little bit hyped and not look like they did with that slow break, half court, late clock, matchup hunting stuff that stunk. Up and down, push the pace. And the other thing is, too, I mean, that is such a quality of this team to wear out the opposition. In this case, the Knicks. And you have that opportunity, and when you're unable to utilize it, it stinks. And the second half and the fourth quarter absolutely did. JMV, according to GuitarPlayer.com, Rick Derringer changed his name to avoid further mispronunciation, misspelling, and misplacement. Thank you, Jim McCann. Hey, Jim McCann, by the way, we're thinking about you in Southern California. All right, quick one. We'll come back. Eddie Gill, at some point, he says he is going to try to be here by 5:30. So hopefully we hear from Eddie Gill. Tony East a little bit earlier, Greg Raikstraw a little bit earlier. The podcast with both 1075thefan.com. Until we hear from Eddie Gill, we've got time to get your thoughts on tonight's game 2. Which is game 4, but game as in TOO 2 at 239-1070. We do that coming up next, the AAA Membership Lounge. That's via YouTube Live. Don't go anywhere. Coach's Tavern downtown. Michelob Ultra Zero brings to you the Eastern Conference Finals, and we talk it up right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I'm at Coach's Tavern. I cannot thank you enough for being a part of this. Tony East earlier, Raikstraw earlier, Carroll Stadium tomorrow, where I am going to massively recap Game 4, and as I've described it earlier, the game in which I plan on restoring order later on. 8 o'clock the tip, 7:30 coverage. That is Pat Boyle and Mark Boyle and Eddie Gill right here on The Fan. Yeah, we've been all over the map as far as what took place in game number 3. I know that there's a point in time when you just kind of erase it from your memory and move on. But because of yesterday, not a lot of you were with us yesterday. We came in to detail the 109th running of the 500 and all the news that was going down, including the Pacers coming off after game number 3. But, yeah, there is a point in time when you need to move on. And obviously, we're not at that point in time just yet, still playing with some of what took place in what was an unfortunate second half and fourth quarter on Sunday night. How did the Pacers bounce back? We've seen them do that before. We've seen them do that from huge deficits. Now, you're going to say they only lost by 6. That's not a huge deficit. Well, in terms of the fourth quarter, when it's 36-20 Knicks in the fourth quarter, that to me is a huge deficit, which is something you can make up for later on tonight. And again, pace of play starts right there, pushing the basketball and not getting bogged down and playing the style in which the Knicks would like to play. That's where we start. So we hit that up a little bit earlier, too. We also hit up a variety of things, including the Indianapolis 500, and just what a great weekend it was for everybody around here being a part of that. Certainly the people that we work with, where it was all hands on deck this past weekend. A great job in doing just that. Now, keeping us all informed with the content. And it goes without saying, you guys know that the IMS Radio Network and Mark Janes and Jake and Nick and Kristen Airy, who did his final 500 in turn number 4, outstanding as well. I mean, across the board, there is nothing better to listen to than that. But, man, like Greg Raikstraw with the post, Tony Katz and I with the pre. It was everybody everywhere, and it was a fantastic experience once again, and I want to thank everybody for being a part of that. Michelob Ultra Zero brings the Eastern Conference Finals to you, and that's where there's Jim Jr. right there in the house. That's where we are at Coach's Tavern downtown. Thank you all for being here, and thanks to Zink for having us here as well. All right, Eddie Gill maybe is what I gather right here. Meantime, 239-1070. Thoughts on the game tonight? If you have yet to phone, that's cool. If you want to talk, we can. And Wayne is on board. Hello, Wayne. How are you?
Hey, JMV. I'm fine. I'm happy to be able to get the opportunity to call in and give an opinion about what I think the Pacers might need to improve on tonight and going forward into next year. One of the things that hurt this team in the last game and a few games before was second shots. The reason that the opposing team was able to get so many shots was lack of rebounding. I think that we have a good combination of guys, and mind you, I've been a Pacer fan ever since the ABA. I've seen a lot of teams that the Pacers have put together, and I've seen a lot of players. But the one thing that it seems to lack at this particular moment is rebounding. And a lot of that stems from the fact that we don't have a bona fide rebounder. So what do you think it's going to take to get more rebounds so that the Pacers have the opportunity to not only keep a 20-point lead, but to improve on it simply by rebounding?
Well, listen, I'm going to go to Sunday night. Rebounding wasn't the issue. I mean, is it something that they need to – if it's something, Wayne, they need to improve upon, sure. Across the board, if you're looking for improvements one of these days, that would be it. But to me, rebounding didn't have anything to do with it. What had everything to do with it was just the pace of play in which the Knicks imposed upon the Pacers, and that's just not them. And we know them to be a fast-paced type of score wearing the other team out, and they allowed the Knicks in the second half, Wayne, and especially in the fourth quarter, get too comfortable, and they had to play their style. And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, whether we're talking about the Knicks or the Cavaliers or the Bucks or the Charlotte Hornets, when the Pacers don't play their style, they are susceptible to losing games. And I thought that's the difference to me more than anything else, whether we're talking about rebounding or, Karl Anthony Towns getting hot with 20 in the fourth or any of that. To me, the biggest key was letting the Knicks dictate the terms. And that, to me, is the reason why they lost that game, and that's what can happen tonight.
Well, I certainly appreciate your input, and I'm taking that information in, and I'm going to watch the game tonight and give it all we can, and hopefully the Pacers will come out victorious, at least in this game. That's all we can worry about right now. It's the next game.
Wayne, you're a good dude. Thank you for the call. It's great to hear from you.
Thank you, JMV.
So, Wayne to Cristaneri, the voice of the Pacers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I mentioned all hands on deck this weekend with the 109th running of the greatest spectacle in racing. I do want to talk about tonight's game, but I want to start right here, Chris, with you. That was your final Turn 4 appearance in the Indianapolis 500.
Yes. I had made the decision along with my wife. I mean, we're a team, and just with all the things going on in our lives as far as grandkids and just opportunity to have a little bit more flexibility. And it's not just May. I've been a part of the Brickyard coverage for the last 20-plus years, too. So just felt like it was the right time. By no means am I walking away from the Pacers. In fact, Kevin Bowen asked me yesterday morning, are you still doing the Pacers? I go, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to do that as long as I can, and as long as.
Well, you got to have some employment. Holy hell, Kevin! What's Kevin think? You're just going to quit all your gigs right now? What the hell?
Well, it's funny because and it's a positive for me. I think people forget that I'm 64, not 54. But
that's a good thing too.
Yeah, it just was the right time. It's nice to sort of go out on your own terms. I've had a great run. The late Julio Fernandez hired me almost 30 years ago. Worked for Wally Levitt and now Chris Pollock, and working with Mark Janes and Nick and Jake and Michael Young. It's been terrific. But I just thought it was the time, and I wanted to make sure that the 500 was the last race that I did. And I won't be a stranger. I'll still be around. I'll probably take my grandson out there to hang out at times. But it just made a lot of sense, and I'm very at peace with it, happy with it. I tell people all the time I have a great job, but also during the course of the Pacer season, you're on the road a lot. And even though we don't have kids at home, it's still a lot on my wife. And so she and I have made decisions together our entire careers, and I felt it was the best decision that we could make for both of us. And hopefully I'll spend more time down in South Carolina with my two youngest grandsons.
It's Kristen Airy who joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So did you freeze your ass off up there on Sunday?
It was cold. Let me tell you, it was a lot colder than it was on a Friday for Carburation Day. And then it was misting, but we made it through. And I've had all the elements up there. I remember the night that I drove through the night from Tulsa, Oklahoma, from a Fever broadcast to do the race in like 2010 or 11 or whenever it was, and it was 92 degrees. It was one of the hottest races on record. So I sat up there in Turn 4 and had many a different kind of weather forecast. And, yes, it felt like October, John, on Sunday, not May.
Broadcast was outstanding, and we love our racers and Pacers, although historically speaking, it doesn't end well for the Pacers. But again, it doesn't take Dick Tracy, I think, to come up or be clued in on the conclusion as to why Game 3 ended in the fashion in which it did. And to me, that's something that I think we've seen this team adjust with favorably. And I think pace of play-wise, being able to push that tempo, own that tempo, Chris, is something they're going to do later on tonight because we've seen it before.
Yeah, I think all you have to do is look at, there's one number that's key, not just the 5 of 25 from three-point range, but it was 14 fast break points in the first half, 2 in the second half. That really, you look at that, and that tells you that the Pacers ended up playing New York's style of play and not Indiana's. I mean, look at what the Pacers did in that run when they went up 20. It was all getting out in transition, the alley-oop to Obi Toppin, the Tyrese Halliburton steal and dunk, and those things just did not happen in the second half. Now, give New York credit. Tom Thibodeau, altered his matchups a little bit, put DeLon Wright out there, a better defensive player. But we all know that the best-of-7 series is all about how you make adjustments. And if you think about the adjustment that Rick Carlisle made from Game 3 to Game 4 in the Cleveland series, I think that's what they're looking at tonight, the adjustment you need to make from Sunday night to tonight.
Yeah, so where do you begin? Besides what I had mentioned, the pace of play, where else do you start? And I guess in terms of defending Karl Anthony Towns, who went off. He got iced in game number 2 at the end, went off for 20 in game number 3. Defensively, how do the Pacers handle that?
Yeah, I think that played a big role in it. You're right. He got iced by Tom Thibodeau, and this is a guy that's very prideful. In fact, they talked about it, I think, on the TNT telecast inside the NBA that Karl Anthony Towns, he's going to come out and shoot the ball. Now, he didn't early, but he did in the fourth quarter. And you just have to be very wary of him. I heard Rick this morning with the guys talk about everybody thinks that Karl Anthony Towns will put the ball on the deck going right, but he went left a number of times, maybe caught the Pacers a little bit off guard. I think, a couple of things that'll be interesting to see the matchups that Rick goes with. What is the availability of Aaron Nesmith, and how does that alter rotations tonight for the Pacers, especially defensively?
All right. So how do they handle? Let's just say, for example, I think he's going to play. I think he's going to give it his all per usual in Nesmith. Well, let's just say he's not. What's the adjustment going to be there? And let's start with Benedict Mathurin, who obviously has seen playing time decrease, and people are kind of wondering what's going on with him right now.
Yeah, he's had a tough playoffs. There's no question about it. The first time he's been in the postseason. I mean, this is a guy offensively that the last 3 years has averaged right around 15 or 16 points. He had a game against the Knicks, John, earlier in the year. He had, 38. So he's a highly capable player. He doesn't appear to be playing with a great deal of confidence right now. And he is a confident player. And, he's a guy that could turn things around and play very, very well tonight. If Nesmith is compromised, will you see Jarris Walker a little bit? And we saw Jarris come off the bench in each of the first 2 playoff series and play pretty well and hit some threes. So the Pacers do have some options. You might have to go with an Obi Toppin a little bit more than you would from a minute standpoint. But it all will be predicated on how Aaron Nesmith is with that ankle, and is he good to go? And they've said it, and I would assume that Rick will talk about that in about an hour, that it'll be a game-time decision for Nesmith.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Man, they need him because you could see, I think, a little bit more than just a profound change in things. When he rolled that ankle and went out, that kind of coincided with this team really getting into a funk. I'm not suggesting it was all on him, but he is such a major part. And I will say this, they made a point to talk about it on the TNT broadcast Sunday night, the disruptive factor that he is defensively and the threat that he is offensively. You just saw how big of a missing piece that was for them when he went out. And then when he came back in, and clearly he just wasn't the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, all you have to do is look at the first 25 games when you didn't have Nesmith, and just how valuable he is. And you hit on it. It's not just the defense. We think about him defending Jalen Brunson, but he is a key component on the offensive end. His ability to hit threes, his abilities to move the ball and swing the ball. And again, I don't anticipate, John, that the Pacers go 5 for 25 from 3 tonight. I mean, that's one of the poorest three-point nights of the year that they've had. The only other one I remember that was as poor was against the Knicks back in November. So I expect them to shoot the ball much better tonight. 44% is what they shot in Game 3, and this has been one of the best field goal shooting teams in the NBA, not just in the regular season but the postseason, and I would hope that would return to norm tonight.
Was it even more magnified, Chris, with the missed opportunity, considering the foul difficulties that Brunson and Towns were dealing with in that game Sunday night?
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because Brunson went 6 of 18, and we have seen them in this series. What was it, game 1? When they had a lot of success with Brunson on the bench in foul trouble. So it's been interesting to see, how this Knicks team responds when Brunson is on the bench. I've said all along you need to take advantage of those minutes because he's such a prolific scorer. The Knicks probably had to feel pretty good about winning on the road on Sunday with the poor shooting that Brunson had. But, John, these are the two best teams in the playoffs right now winning on the road. Both teams are 6-1 away from home, and you just don't usually see that in the NBA playoffs.
Saw a little bit of limping going on too with Towns, and then Robinson was clearly out of gas a couple of different times. I don't know if there's any holdover there. You can speak to that, and also this is what I hate because Thibodeau went really 9 deep for an extended period of time with his bench. And, man, I don't care if it's just 3. I don't care if it's just 2. Giving up 5 points when your margin of victory was 6 to DeLone Wright and Landry Shamet, man, that bugs the hell out of me. It just does.
No, you're right. I mean, when Shamet came in, I know I was standing in the tunnel by the Pacers bench, and, just to see him come in and hit a shot when he probably wasn't thinking he might even play. So, but those are 2 veteran guys. I mean, Shamet and DeLone Wright have both been there and done that, and so they're just sitting on the bench waiting for their moment, and clearly those 2 guys took advantage of it.
All right, give me your thoughts here before I cut you loose on tonight, what we're going to witness here. Really change the pace on both ends. How defensively do you expect them to handle Karl Anthony Towns after the game 4?
That's going to be interesting. I mean, how again, I think you got to throw multiple bodies against him just like you do with Jalen Brunson. And really what we've seen through the first now 3 series is the Pacers win the first 2, they lose game 3, and then rally to win game 4. And that's what I'm betting on tonight. I'm predicting. I think the Pacers bounce back at home. They have not lost 2 straight games since early March, and I see no reason to extend that tonight. So I feel a good bounce back for the Pacers tonight, and then let's go to New York and see if you can win it.
See, here's what I'm thinking about, too, and this is selfishly. So if there's a Game 6, Game 6 would be on Saturday night, I'm assuming at 8:30, right? Would that tip time be
8 o'clock.
8:30?
Yeah, 8 o'clock, yeah.
So get the JMV takeover. I'd have to do opposite of the Pacers Game 6 going on down here. That's tough for me to stomach right there. I don't know if I can handle that.
Yeah, I totally get you. I mean, there are I'd much rather be doing the game now. I guess the one thing, if you're doing the JMV takeover with the Game 6, you're busy and concentrating. You might not be as nervous as I would be. I mean, I was finding all kinds of places to hide the other night because I'd watch it and I'd move and all that kind of stuff. So I'd much rather be sitting in my normal seat. That's where Roy Hibbert was sitting
I saw
on
that
Sunday night. Yeah, it was great to talk to Roy. I mean, it was great to see all those former Pacers back who were so excited about what's happening with the franchise.
No, that part is really cool. I completely agree with that, too. I have issued a challenge to actor Timothy Chalamet for some one-on-one before tonight's game number 4 in Bicentennial Plaza. I have yet to hear a response.
And those rims, I believe, are very friendly to you, John. So, yeah, absolutely.
Buddy.
I think you would have. I think the Greene County Flash would have a huge advantage over,
let me tell you this: there's zero way I am losing in a game of basketball to any British dude that wears a scarf with no shirt beneath it. All right, no way. None.
You know, John,
I could never go back to Greene County if I lost to that.
I felt pretty good on Sunday when Scott McLaughlin went out, the Knicks fan. You know, unfortunate for him and Penske Racing that he spun on the parade lap. But, you know, he's a Knicks fan. And then Alex Pillow, who had worn Tyrese Halliburton's jersey at the parade, wins the race. I'm thinking, hey, everything's pointing to the Pacers, and it sure felt like that through the first half. So that's my super.
It did. I mean, it did. I mean, you get up 18. That's just the difference in this era of basketball, especially the NBA, than what it used to be. Because the term "no lead" is safe, or the phrase, I should say, not the term. The phrase "no lead is safe" has not been more appropriate than it is now, because it does not matter where you go. The likelihood of somebody tracking you down again is percentage-wise always seemingly very high.
I will say that. I think that's why I love it. I mean, there's always an opportunity for a team to come back. The Knicks have come back 3 times in the playoffs from 20 down, and we know the Pacers 4 times have rallied from, I think, 15 or more down. So that's the beauty about the NBA. It's the beauty about the pace. It's the beauty about the three-point shot. You just hope that your team is on the favorable end of it.
Yeah, I don't think we've made enough about the Knicks on the road this year, too. Because we talked about how good the Pacers have been on the road, but the Knicks equally have been as good on the road as the Pacers.
Yeah, I mean, the Pacers are 6-1, and the Knicks are 6-1 in the playoffs on the road. And, you know, Indiana was 20-20 on the road. I mean, if you go 500 on the road in an NBA season, consider that a win. And the Knicks were a good road team as well. So, you know, I think both teams have confidence no matter where they play. And let's hope the Pacers have more confidence tonight at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric as usual. You know, this is I just was out and about and seeing people with car flags, Pacer flags. I talked to somebody today that maybe doesn't watch as many Pacers games during the year, said they were pacing in their house because they were so nervous. That's the cool thing about this time of year is people that, you know, may have been a casual fan in January, February, and March. I mean, this is can't miss TV now. So looking forward to tonight and hopefully a win and a 3-1 advantage.
Now we're going to get the return of Tyrese Halliburton's dad, I guess, to the arena this evening too, right?
Yeah, he'll be up in a suite, able to watch his son and his favorite team play tonight, so that's good to see.
Chris, I appreciate it. Are you going to the game?
Oh, yeah, I'll be down there. I had some things that I had to get done up here on the north side, but I'm getting ready to get in the car and head down.
I call it restoring order because I kind of wimped out and didn't go on Sunday. And
I know,
yeah,
you've got to be there. I'll try to find you, but though I really haven't found you at games, so I don't want to mess up that karma either. So I'll probably
So I normally go with Tommy S here at Coach's Tavern. Tonight I'm going with Lance from LD Smith Plumbing. And I think we're going to be – I think he's in Section 2.
Okay.
So we may end up – I don't know where that is, but I'm assuming it sounds pretty good. So I don't know. So Section 2 is where we're going to be. Wait, what's your read on how many Knicks fans are going to be in the house?
Probably, I heard you talking earlier. If you win on Sunday, there's probably fewer Knicks fans tonight. But I'm guessing there will be a number of them there. They do have a great fan base, and they tend to travel. You know, hopefully it's not too many, but I think you'll see Knicks fans in the building. My youngest son, and he and a buddy will be using my tickets tonight. And my youngest son, Max, who is a passionate Pacers fan, he was very upset Sunday. And as we were sitting, my tickets are in Section 1, so not far from where you'll be sitting. And there were Knicks fans shouting Knicks in 6, and I had to sort of calm down Max. And I said, as you walk back to Mass Ave, just stay calm.
Stay calm. Hey, by the way, Shams reports Aaron Neesmith is available to play in Game 4 tonight. That just came down to the past minutes. Aaron Neesmith.
Best news I've heard all day.
Available to play. Right ankle sprain in Game 3. Man, for one, he's a badass dude that we've come to know as a badass dude. So, honestly, you expected it, but it's good to hear it.
I'm telling you what, He is one of the best guys you'll ever meet. He is a competitor. Love the fact that he's playing tonight. I thought he would. You know, you never know. But that is a heck of a kid, and I wish him the best tonight.
I am restoring order tonight and even going to rock that bad Yes Sirs Nation shirt, too. Yeah. Yeah.
You're doing it all. I feel good. I'm starting to feel really good about tonight.
Can you imagine? Yeah, you should if I put that thing on. My goodness. Woo. But I'm going to do it because we're going. My brother, I appreciate you more than you know. And, look me up down there. I'll look you up, and we'll have ourselves a night tonight in Game 4. How about that?
I will do that. And, by the way, just want to put a shout in that Thursday night there will be another watch party at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. I'll be there emceeing. We had a great one last Friday, I think, between 8
do you want me to go?
fans.
Do you want me to go? Do you want me to go and maybe shoot some jumpers and stuff while you're emceeing?
Absolutely. We'll put on a show for the crowd. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what. How about if I come down there and shoot some jumpers from NBA three-point range while you're emceeing? I think that's what we got to do on Thursday.
I'm happy to have you.
Holy crap, because I am an absolute 55-year-old inspiration right now, Chris. I think I could help out the cause.
All right. We'll book it. We'll book it for Thursday
All right,
night.
Well, tell everybody down there, as long as I don't have to wear something yes sirs, I'm there. Just tell somebody to get a hold of me. I'm there.
All right. Sounds good.
It's Chris Denary, who's the voice of the Pacers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Aaron Neesmith is good to go tonight, according to Shams. Yeah, I'll go down there and shoot some jumpers. I will never, ever give up an opportunity to play a little bit of hoop. I don't care who's asking. Hey, by the way, too, if you're listening right now and you're a basketball fan, if you have pickup games someplace, and I don't want to be picked up three-quarter court, okay? I don't think you're Andrew Nemhart going to pick me up at three-quarter court. But if you have a pickup game, I'm always looking for it. I am always looking for it. Now, I have this brand-new inspiration because I love it so much. So, yeah, just let me know, and, hell, I'll show up. And people know this to be true. I will show up. So let me know where you're playing. The three-quarter court stuff will drive. Don't do that. Oh, yeah, here's the other thing, too. I think everybody knows this. I get all sorts of pissed when you post me up. I don't want any posting up. No, don't post me up. God, when somebody does that, I go, oh, boy, here we go. But no, seriously, if you play, let me know. Hey, quick break. We'll come back. Aaron Neesmith available tonight. We'll get back to that. And hopefully Eddie Gill before the top of the hour here as well. Coaches downtown, Michelob Ultra Zero brings the Eastern Conference Finals to you. My friends, Jim Zink Jr. and Kevin and the gang. I see him right down there rocking it from Zink, bringing me along with Tommy S. live from Coach's Tavern. Little pregame action for you before game number 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
With JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, join me, Coach's Tavern. I've got Michelob Ultras here. Many of them. Thank you to my friend Zink. They're all over there. You know Kevin? Kevin from Zink came out to the JMV takeover in the Coke lot. We had one hell of a Saturday night. By God, that's happening again, too. The All Request Saturday night, Doug Bowles and I chugged a couple of beers. It was outstanding. Thanks to Zink. By the way, too, Mick Ultra Zero brings you the Eastern Conference Finals. You know what else Mick Ultra brings you? There's somewhere else I'm unbeaten going to Pacer games, guys. You ready? If you're watching via the AAA Membership Lounge YouTube Live, the Michelob Ultra Nike courtside dunks are unstinking beaten, everybody. And guess who's rocking those bad boys today? Have no fear. The host of this show is going to Game 4 to restore order. Tony East, Chris Denary, Greg Raikstraw, tomorrow Carroll Stadium. I'll talk about that when we talk about that. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, man, he gave it his best effort of all time. He is stuck in traffic, which is ample here downtown. Eddie Gill, the former NBA guard, Pacers Radio 7:30, 8 o'clock tip time tonight. You can hear it on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Eddie Gill joins us now. Where are you in traffic, my brother?
Yeah, man, it actually hit me on 465, but I just was able to shake free. I'm on 65 right now. I had a 559 ETA, and I would probably could have gave you an outstanding 60 seconds, but
yeah,
I'll tell you one more than that.
Man, let me tell you this. You'd have tripped that light fantastic for 60 seconds. But, yeah, we'll spread the wealth a little bit right here. I'll be honest with you. I've said this all year, and you and I have talked about this. I would rather have, like, a root canal / enema than to watch the Pacers play in late clock, half-court situations. So let's start right there. At the very least, can we stay out of a majority of those later on tonight? Because to me, pace of play and scoring in the second half, that's the reason why they lost Game 3.
Yeah, those are the worst. I mean, when you get in that situation and to just start pounding the air out of the ball, it's like a slow car crash happening. You know something bad's getting ready to happen. Occasionally, somebody pulls a rabbit out of the hat and hits a really tough contested shot, but more often than not, it ends up either in a shot clock violation or the opponent is out on the break, and they're going to get something good on the other end.
Yeah, and man, you just like to me, and again, this is something else we've talked about over this past year. The best defense, or I should rephrase, the best Pacers defense is having their fast-paced scoring offense. And that, to me, is what, besides the 20 from Towns, that's what absolutely disappeared on Sunday night that just can't like it did in the second half and in the fourth quarter tonight.
Yeah, you just get bogged down. And it's they've been so good with the pace of play. And it's so difficult to cover because they have so many weapons out there with their ball movement and player movement. But, yeah, when you hold the ball, you're putting yourself in a bad situation, or you start dribbling it, or, those types of things. The defense can get set, and especially a team that's playing with the desperation that they were playing with, they're up against it. So you got to be able to get that done. It's gonna lead into big trouble.
It's Eddie Gill's got you on Pacers Radio. He, Mark Boyle, and Pat Boylan tonight. Underway at 7:30. That tip for Game 4 is at 8 o'clock. Eddie's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So, hey, give me some defensive thoughts on how you think the Pacers should handle Towns. I don't know if there's going to be any carryover with the way that he shot it in the fourth quarter tonight, but just to guard against it, how do they approach it defensively at the early stages of tonight's game?
In the famous words of the great Dan Burke, who was a longtime assistant coach for the Pacers, was there when I played for him and many years after. He used to say, if Plan A doesn't work, Plan B is to do Plan A harder. So saying that, they did a really poor job of getting to him in those three-point shots, those trail three-pointers. So if he makes one or two of those, now you start to overreact to him, and he's able to drive by one or two dribbles and dunk the ball. So I think you got to just ultimately, again, do that a little bit better, get to him out there in transition, and then you have an opportunity to slow him down from driving the basketball too.
Yeah, I would agree. The thing of it is, he kind of got him, and you know this as a former player at a high level, he had everybody guessing. He knocked down those threes with that flick of the wrist with normalcy, and then, you know, all you had to do was a little bit of a pump fake and get whomever, Miles or whomever, out of position and drive with a finish, with contact. You know, that's what happens. You have to disrupt his path, I think, to the basket, and that's one thing the Pacers did not do at all in the fourth.
Yeah, that's what really, just about any NBA player, but really the great ones.
Right.
If you don't get to him early, it's going to be a major problem. And things that people may forget, that guy's like 7'1", 7'2", and he's not jumping off the floor when he shoots it. He's just literally flicking his wrist, and it's gone. So you have to get out there before ultimately you meet the catch. As the ball's in the air, you meet the catch, and the hand is there meeting it. Because if you don't, it's off, and you're just at the mercy of makes and misses at that point.
Hey, I'll give you a great example. Like, Tom Thibodeau was forced to ice him in the fourth because he was worn out. He was worn out, and it was more important to get somebody in there on the defensive end than it was on the offensive end. And that's what the Pacers didn't do on Sunday night. I mean, that's without that pace of play, my man who can't guard you or I got to rest defensively oftentimes, and that you got to get him in motion, you know, like you did in game number 2, and that's what stood out to be incredibly disappointing to me, I guess.
Yeah, but to your first comment, I think there might be some New Yorkers who would argue with you and say, hey, that guy need to be on the floor in the fourth quarter of game 2. But absolutely, like. And then the other piece about pace of play, it's not just fast breaks, right? It's not just getting steals or rebounds and taking off, and you get an easy 2 on the other end. Even if you're in a half-court set, you have got to move the basketball and move bodies, set screens, and those kind of things in terms of quote-unquote pace of play. It's not always just fast breaks and transition basketball.
Yeah. It was disappointing, but the fact remains that they had built an opportunity to have a game like that. You don't want to see it, and you want to see them bounce back in the fashion in which we've known them to do. Hey, I tell you what, Eddie, I got to run here. I'm going to have you talk to James. I wouldn't mind to get you back on tomorrow for a little insight on what goes down tonight, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to do it.
All right, James, put him on hold. Talk to Eddie about that. Eddie Gill's got you 7:30 along with Mark Boyle and Pat Boylan for the pregame show tonight, game number 4. I want to get him back on tomorrow with a little bit of a recap. We're going to be at Carroll Stadium with the Indy 11 tomorrow, but still the major focus is going to be this: the importance of Aaron Nesmith. And you get him back, according to Shams, tonight for game number 4. That is a big damn deal. Now, we'll see exactly the Aaron Nesmith that is out there, but that is a big damn deal. Talk about that and more on the other side. Michelob Ultra Zero brings the Eastern Conference Finals to you. We're at Coach's Tavern. We'll close it out with Tommy S. and more. This is your pregame destination location, a block from the Fieldhouse downtown. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Diablo sandwich, Dr. Pepper, make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, Aaron Neesmith is back, I believe. This date or yesterday's date in 1986, James. You go with the final countdown by Europe. This album was unleashed upon the world. Yesterday, back in 1986, the final countdown. You remember the band's name, James? Right here?
Europe.
Europe would be it. This is not up your alley, is it?
Actually, I mean, it's not completely up my alley, but I actually do like the song. It's the only song of theirs that I really know, but I do like it.
Have you ever heard Rock the Night? No?
Not off the top of my head. That doesn't ring any bells.
Cue up Rock the Night and tell me when we have it ready. Let's do it. They also have two slow songs or power ballads from back then. One is Carrie, and I think the other one is like Superstitions or something like that. All right, this is my favorite from the Europe catalog right here, James. This is a little bit more appropriate. This is Europe from 1986. First time James ever heard Rock the Night on B105.7. This rocks, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is good.
I always thought Europe was incredibly underrated back then. And this was basically it. I mean, really, maybe a couple of songs after this, and that was about it for the rock band Europe back in the 80s. Again, Coach's Tavern downtown. I want to thank our friends at Zinc. Michelob Ultra Zero brings the Eastern Conference Finals to you. And my guys at Zinc are down there right now hanging out, which is good. This is going to be our location, as we're going to be here until we bail and head to the game coming up tonight. 7:30, your coverage begins here on The Fan. And then, of course, 8 o'clock is that tip time. I've mentioned this a couple of different times this afternoon. Carroll Stadium tomorrow. I know the Indy 11 are in action. It will still be heavy focus, clearly, on game number 4 tonight, because the winner of this game will win the series, which would make this a must-win situation. Aaron Neesmith is back, according to Shams, and good to go for tonight's game. That is a good call. And what has been a fantastic day, as we love to be at Coach's Tavern downtown. Coming off really a great weekend. I hope everybody had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend, whether you were part of the greatest spectacle in racing and the nearly 350K that were out there. I mentioned yesterday, too, 7.05 million watched that on Fox. Now, this is my unofficial numbers, but I believe, Dev, are we right about that? 9.76 million listened to it on The Fan and 93 WIBC and the IMS radio network. So a lot more listened to it than watched it, but it was good. I'm just making that up. You had a really nice option that you always love, and that is listening to it on the IMS radio network on The Fan and 93 WIBC. But no, a good viewing number. The banquet was last night. Connor Daly whizzed in his, and normally we see Connor Daly here before the Pacer playoff games, by the way, too, whizzed in his fire suit. I mean, when you got to go, my brothers. That's just what happens, right? It's kind of the way that life is. But good stuff all the way around this past weekend. Carroll Stadium tomorrow with the Indy 11 and full recap of tonight's game, which is must win. And know this, besides the Pacers bouncing back as they normally have since St. Patrick's Day, you get me in the building, restoring order for you. Dev, great job out of you. James back at the studio, thank you. Evan Sherrill of Cluster Truck. James just put my salmon in the fridge, and that is going to be dinner later on tonight, everybody. Thank you guys for listening to the show. Full recap from Carroll Stadium tomorrow. Eddie Gill, Kristen Airy, Tony East, Greg Raikstraw. Podcast. 1075thefan.com. Trackside, Kevin's on the other side. Then that's going to lead you to Pacer pregame. 7:30, Pat Boyle, Mark Boyle, Eddie Gill. Tip time, game 4, 8 o'clock. Mick Ultra Zero brings you the Eastern Conference Finals live at Coach's Tavern. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.